Hey, what's going on, guys? Merry Christmas. So I've got my wife and son are in El Salvador, and so I got the daughter, and we decided we're not going to travel today because of the crowds and all the craziness. So we figure we'll go head down to see mom in San Diego on Thursday. So we're just doing our, separated family Christmas. And I thought about it this morning. I was watching Steve Lato. And I was like, man, there's a bunch of people in here. They must be they must be lonely. And I figured, well, heck, we might as well go live today too, because a lot of you guys are probably lonely too. I was thinking about it. Most of my audience is over 50, so I figure, you probably, some of you may have lost a spouse or something. And so I said, man, I'm just going to go live and see what's going on with you guys. Make sure everybody's okay and just shoot the crap, you know what I mean? So, but before we do that, let me go ahead and kick off my show with my famous kickoff.
To another edition of Ask Michael Ehline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel.
All right, yeah, we never know, we never know. So let's see what's going on. So, pardon me, guys. I'm just going to move this screen over here. Still kind of fighting a little bit of a cold. Started my keto / carnivore diet yesterday. I know Life Under said, no, man, go ahead and kill yourself on for the holidays, but I figure I'm going to start going, hey, what's going on, Life Under? Good seeing you. Figured, what the heck? I'm just going to go ahead and start now and get the process started. I used to be a big-time pure protein diet. I always stayed lean and mean, and I figure, what the heck, man? It's the new year. You're supposed to make resolutions. Right, the Tibetan table salt and all that good stuff. The pink salt, that's the good stuff. Hey, Let's OTVO, good seeing you. King Bluto, right on, man. Cops are 5150. All my buddies. So today's going to be a little bit different. Yesterday I just did like a 5-hour live stream while I was at work, and it was kind of a hit. You guys seemed to like it. I wasn't really talking a whole lot. I was playing some really cool educational videos from my buddy Brett Pike about homeschooling and stuff like that. About here, hold on, me get a little mic check. All right, just to sort of give you guys a little education about what's going on with the homeschooling system, clear up some inconsistencies. Good seeing you. What's the matter, you? Too bad your phone died. That's not good. Let me get this thing out of my face, man. Gee whiz. All right, so today we'll do something a little bit different. Today I will talk a lot, but I'll answer questions. So this is originally when I wanted to set up a YouTube channel back in, I don't know, but 20 years ago or whatever. I don't know. I've had this channel forever. I wanted to call it Ask Michael Ehline and set it up where people could ask me questions about the law, in particular personal injury cases, because that's what my expertise is in. That's how I feed my family. So today, I actually have a bunch of questions that people have been emailing me about a whole plethora of things that I'll try to cover for you. But the first thing I'm going to do is share with you my Christmas present that I got from my wife, and it's called the Super Grip. By the way, I'm not sponsoring anyone. You see, it kind of looks like a sleeve, right? And it's a band, and I'll play a video of how these things work in a minute. And then this resembles the lapel of a gi, where you could throw someone. So if I was going to throw someone, this is how I would typically want to, right? So these are your feelers, these are your sensor fingers, and these are your grip fingers, these three right here. So if I'm grabbing your lapel, and then I'm grabbing your sleeve, and then this is too bad I couldn't figure out how to get it to go widescreen this morning for you, but See, this is like a bungee. And so when I'm not able to make it to the dojo, which is pretty much never anymore, I can still use this thing. I'll show you a video of how it works. It's really good because it helps you develop your core strength. So, well, right on, Kevin. That's cool. Yeah, I hope that Chile and everyone's having a Merry Christmas. So today we'll do a little bit about a little year in review. And oh, thanks, Stephanie. I guess Stephanie is saying that I'm hated by the rulers of the world and that I'm an outcast. That's probably true. I definitely have done everything to the beat of my own drummer. That's my dad always said. So, but that's good. I'm sure most of you guys are rebels too. I mean, this is a country that was born in the spirit of rebellion, and you older guys grew up in a time when we were taught about that. Like we were taught about, you know, the old TV commercials. I'm just a bill. I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol. Remember those shows? They would actually teach you a little bit about what was going on in the government. They even taught about the British, how the redcoats, and they had cartoons of muskets firing at the British, and that's all been wiped away, you know, modernly with the woke DEI society. They don't even teach about that in the schools anymore. Race gas, that's a good thing. I was going to talk about. I was actually going to show you guys a bunch of my silver and gold today as well, which I will do. And yeah, so let me just look at these questions. So I'm going to show you guys some silver and gold, and we're going to talk a little bit about silver and gold. We'll talk a little bit about Bitcoin as well, because I think that's all really good stuff to know. And Steve Conkler, so let me just thank everyone for showing up on Christmas. This is really cool. Honestly, guys, I didn't think anybody was going to show up. So the fact that we have 30 people here is kind of a big deal. So looks like we got some new people here. James Forbes, Merry Christmas, brother. I'm glad to see you. And you know, I'm praying for all you guys too, because I know a lot of you guys, like me, have a lot of ailments. Like I have a really bad, like pinched nerve in my lower back. Like you could call it sciatica, but I'm in denial about that. And let me see here. Race Gas, super glad to see you. Let's TVO as always. Kevin Biernarski, my Polish, German, American friend. And let me see what else. What else we got here? What's the matter, you? As always, thanks for coming, man. Group 2FA app. Merry Christmas, brother. I love that Group 2FA. Steve Conkler, hello, buddy. Hello. Life Under the Microscope. Kersey 1, you know, Kersey 1, you look new to me, but I'm glad you made it today to join me. And again, if you guys have questions, today's the day to ask them. Obviously, super chats go to the front of the line for questions, because that's a way that I can definitely justify me spending Christmas with you when the family's going, Dad, where are you to open presents? Actually, I only have one young one here today. The wife and kids are in El Salvador visiting their dad who's ill. Well, grandpa and dad who's ill, and we lost grandma about 2 days after she took her safe and effective booster from thrombosis, so that's too bad. Obviously, I'm not allowed to talk about that because I'll get accused. I'll lose my channel, so I don't want to get into that too much, but that really devastated our family and made me sell off all of my stock to a certain company, which I'm sure you guys, it starts with the PF. Got rid of that as quick as I could, because why would you want to invest in something that you think is the devil? All right, so Stephanie, thank you for coming. And Life Under, man, that is so cool. We lost it in the 1988 Nakatomi Plaza event. Yes, rest in peace to all of those we lost in the 1988 Nakatomi Plaza event. Absolutely. And Race Gas again says that gold and silver did really good this year. You're right about that, buddy. Kersey 1, School Rock. Don't know what that is, but I'm sure you guys, you can tell me, because today I'm going to answer questions and try to stay focused on my audience. I'll try to be like Steve Lato, but sort of like with the rough edge, you know, because I'm still a crazy jarhead, and I'm surrounded right now with AR-15s and Glocks and FNP 45s and all that stuff. Not really a big 9mm guy when it comes to the house. I prefer 45 ACP. Tell me what you guys like to use for your home defense weapon? I'd like to know. Obviously, my AR is always going to be my go-to because it has the same nomenclature as the M16A2 that I trained with and slept with when I was in the Marines. And yeah, Miss Tara, well, I flew my wife out, well, drove out, packed out my wife and daughter to go see Grandpa down in El Salvador. So I wanted to go with them, but my mother is ill and she's in San Diego. So the family's kind of splitting off. We're trying to do our thing to make sure we can take care of our family members, the ones that are left. And, my father's dead, as you guys know. He died from Agent Orange, from cancer, from Vietnam. And I'm still struggling with that. Still struggling with the whole lie about the Gulf of Tonkin and why we were even in Vietnam, and all the for-profit media and all the lies we were told. And now that we have a platform like X where we're able to actually get some truth without being censored, a lot of stuff has been coming out about the administrative state and how they have basically de facto control over the major news networks and most social media until X came along. So it's really interesting. And Brent Shimko, Merry Christmas to you. Let me see. You're working. That's good, Mias. Do yoga well, Mias, I am. I do yoga stretching and breathing exercises in tandem with my judo training that I've been doing ever since I was 6 years old. The stretching, staying limber, and all that stuff. But I do appreciate you saying that. Breathing and meditation is really important, especially as we get older. So I always try to meditate for at least 15 minutes a day and do vision quests. I don't know if you guys know what vision quests are, but that's super important. It's something that you learn if you had traditional wrestling or traditional martial arts classes, you would learn about the vision quest. There was actually a movie, I believe, called Vision Quest. And yes, well, I do. I do. Well, I do a stretch when I do those lawyer workouts for you guys online, but I don't do as intensive of a stretch when I'm with you guys as I should, because before I leave the house, I do my stretching, because I know that when I'm stretching, it's probably boring to you guys. You want to see me doing push-ups and pull-ups and all that stuff. So I try to do a light stretch before I go out, also because it's freezing outside out here. So that stretch before I leave really, really helps, and it's super early in the morning. So if I don't get limber before a walk, because I've already torn my calf muscle in the past, it just starts tearing my muscles up. So yeah, it sucks getting old, guys. It really does, but it's all part of God's plan, and we're all just a big ball of spiritual energy inside of a vessel that eventually is going to deteriorate. But our soul and our youth lives on, and that's why I love having you guys on here. Like, Let's OTVO, Navy vet. To me, when I look at him, I see that his image looks old, but I know in his heart he's still young like me and you. And that's something that young people don't understand until they get older. And sometimes they look upon the elders with disdain. And that's why I'm a big proponent of homeschooling and making sure a father stays in the home who had a proper upbringing to teach their children respect for elders. Like my kids, when they see old people, they run to make it to the door of the restaurant or the apartment building or wherever we're going to go to visit someone, and they open that door for that old person and they say, "God bless you. Can I help you with anything?" So, and that's just something that's really important to me, and hopefully it's important to you too, because if you don't teach your kids that, you're going to have a bunch of low-life kids running around causing trouble, a bunch of hoodlums like these Tren de Aragua guys that are taking over all the apartments in Colorado. Yes, Life Under. Yeah, I hope Brick is preparing a killer meal. Now, Life Under, maybe you can tell me, is Brick a ketogenic carnivore diet guy? I'd like to know about that. Maybe he's got some tips for me. From what I'm understanding, I can only season my steak with basically that salt, and that's about it. I'm not even supposed to use spices. Kersey, let me see, does that help? Don't know what that was. Let me see. Hit that like button. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let me see here. Yeah, let me see here. No, you can't, Mias. There's really nothing you can do. And you don't want to talk about that on YouTube because Google and YouTube have an agreement with the World Health Organization as well as Big Pharma. They get billions of dollars in advertising money. So if you say anything negative about that, they'll accuse you of misinformation and shut down your channel. So you always want to say positive things, or don't say anything at all about any of those companies or about any of those things that they gave people over the last few years. Let me see here. Uh, that's right. I'm a diehard fan of injustice. Well, I'm a diehard opponent of injustice. That's for sure. Life Under. I think that's what you meant. Yeah. And let me see. He needs to take a slow mode off his lives myself. Okay. School of Rock. What you mentioned is a bill. Yeah. Remember that? I'm just a bill. I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. And I've actually tried to play those YouTube videos for you guys in the past, and I got copyright strikes, so that's why I don't play them anymore. Like, they make you the music disappears. But I'll try to find those videos and share the links so you guys can watch them, because those are really fun. Those, when we were growing up, we actually learned about the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Founding Fathers, and we weren't taught that they were racist homophobes. We were taught that they were good people that brought freedom and justice to people who were being persecuted by the King of England. So totally different time. Hey, just a dude. Good seeing you. Merry Christmas to you, Frogman. And Kevin Brynarski says, I have a Sawyer Sig Sauer. Yeah, Sauer. But I get it. Sig Sauer. Yeah. Got a P229. Look, I'd love to show you my weapons if I had it in wide, which I can't figure out how to do right now. You would see me just stacked, with about 1,000 rounds of 5.56 and a couple boxes of 45. And always want to use the either standard capacity magazines or extended capacity. You never want to go with just, the small amount, because if you miss and you run out, when you're under the pressure and excitement of being attacked, it's really hard to reload. Even with my training and muscle memory, it's very, very difficult when you're super stressed. So the way I do it, when I go to the range, I'll do a bunch of push-ups, I'll run in place, and to see how far off I am, because to try to simulate the effect of adrenaline and stress. And you'll find when you do that and you go to the range, or you go out, probably don't want to do it at the regular range because people will think you're crazy, maybe kick you out, but go out to like some BLM land or somewhere where you can shoot, do the run in place exercises, bunch of push-ups, pull-ups, and setups. If you can do pull-ups, obviously, because there's probably no pull-up bar out there, but you get what I'm saying. Try to mimic the effects of what stress would be if someone just busted down your door and you just grabbed your weapon. How are you going to be able to put rounds on target? So obviously 10 rounds is clearly not going to be enough. You may need a lot more. That's why you never want to listen to politicians who know nothing other than that they want to disarm you and come up with pretextual reasons to say, oh, you only need 10 rounds. They don't know what they're talking about. So let's see here. Life Under says, the good news is everyone was a criminal in El Salvador that made it to the U.S.-Mexican border. All right. So let me tell you about something about El Salvador. It is a real miracle. So, my wife's parents sent her up here because, of course, our CIA was down there meddling in El Salvador during the Contra and communist wars down there. And both the Contras, supposedly the side we supported, right, as well as the communists, were pulling buses up to schools and taking the girls, using them as slaves, and not just for what, but to cook and clean for them, clean their weapons, just little kids. So they sent her up to the United States to escape that. And a lot of those gang members were actually CIA trained, and they ended up coming up to the U.S. and they formed gangs in L.A. because the Mexican gangs were causing problems with them, because El Salvador is a tiny little country, and Mexicans and Salvadorians have a beef, and they always have. So they were already well trained, like guerrillas from the war, and they brought that up to the U.S. and formed these gangs thanks to our meddling in El Salvador. So a lot of people don't know that. And so obviously I was naturally attracted to her, because anybody who's a victim of oppression, I think that I'm the knight in shining armor. But ultimately she was the one who was the knight in shining armor, because she gave me an amazing family and a reason to live other than just material things. So women will bring that spiritual thing into your life that you're just not going to get. So I feel sorry for you dudes that are into each other, because you don't have a woman has a spiritual energy that a man just will never have, and the fact that they're able to produce children, they have a natural innate instinct that once they have kids, so once a woman has kids, they totally change. And some men will say for the worse, but if you understand the dynamics, you'll say it's for the better. It just opens up their, I don't know, there's something about it. Maybe Mia's Tarot can help me understand, but it's amazing. Can't even explain it. Dawuda Shah says, sorry about your father. My father would help others at the VFW and the American Legion receive their benefits for exposure to Agent Orange. He was a quartermaster and or commander for many years. Oh, that's really cool. Well, God bless you, Dawood. I'm assuming that he's passed away. Everybody give me a bunch of ones for Dawood's passed away father. God bless you, Dawood. And I know that you're a pro self-defense rights guy, Dawood, so I'm with you 100%. Hopefully you found some help with your CCW issue. I'm not sure if Alan Beck was able to help you out. Let me see here. Life Under says, I don't hold my breath with X. First day got a limited post-expo. Yeah, and their CEO, again, and she is a member of that World Economic Forum, so yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think that the WEF is the enemy of all humans on the planet. I think that it's an evil, Luciferian organization akin to the United Nations. Very evil, wicked people who do not have the interests of human rights in mind, for sure. Oh, that's right. So Mia's Tarot says, yeah, that's right. You do judo. Yeah. And so Mia's, I don't really go to the dojo anymore, but my son is becoming a really good judoka. And, I also took Brazilian jiu-jitsu for many years, as well as boxing and Muay Thai when I was younger. And I found out of all of them that the spiritual part of judo is what I miss and what I want for my son. It's that traditional value system that judo teaches. It's very honorable, respectful, kind of like karate when it comes to the discipline, but getting a belt in judo is much more difficult than karate. I mean, you go to a karate class, your kid will be a black belt in a couple of years. It's not how it is in judo. They expect you to compete, and they expect you to really understand the dynamics. See, originally judo was passed down from, like samurai, it was passed down from father to son, and it was kept in your house, and so or close family members. And so that tradition has been passed on and opened up to other people. But if you have a really good sensei, they treat your family, treat your kids like they're family members. And that's a really great, you call it is a sport, but they also do teach the traditional jiu-jitsu, joint locks, as well as striking if you have a good sensei. Let me see here. Oh, right on. What's the matter? I do assisted vision quest. That's awesome. And let me see here. Yeah, that's right. Life Under says Matthew Modine was the lead star in Vision Quest. And let me see. Yeah, Dawood. And so Dawood, and we were just talking about fathers. Now we should be grateful for our fathers, especially if they passed away this Christmas. And what Dawood's saying is, that's where I get my spirit of volunteering and working hard to help others, from his dad. And it's really sad that, and I've said this before, that the welfare system, the Great Society, the goal, in my opinion, was to separate fathers from mothers, fathers from their children, because you can't collect welfare if the birth father lives in the same home as the birth mother, because the political class wants to be your daddy, because all they care about is getting voted for and more political power. I mean, if you look at, they go into Congress making 50 grand a year and they come out multimillionaires. I mean, come on. And I've lobbied Congress a few times on behalf of cruise ship victims, and I saw with my own eyes. I mean, you can just look. One thing that I'm sure Mia's Tarot can agree with is you can spot evil spiritual energy and greed just by being in the same room with a person. If you're honed in spiritually, and all of them except for maybe Rand Paul. It was the only one that I could see who just didn't really seem to care about any of this stuff. It was all they cared about was who's coming in with a check to write me a check for the next campaign, unless there was someone in their district who'd suffered a catastrophic injury at the hands of the cruise ship industry, right? Where they thought it might get them some publicity if they voted for a bill. And right behind them is the cruise ship company writing a check to say, hey, don't vote for the bill, or help me get the other guy down the hall who's not in your district to vote against it so you can vote for it and we still win, right? Or we take the teeth out of the bill so there's no enforcement provision, but you can still say you got to win for your constituency. So that's a real problem. Right, Miestero? I think you understand. Now, Life Under says we all come from stardust. Some are just full of more hot gases than others. So, I don't discuss conversations that I've had with other people or any kind of confidential stuff when I talk to people. But if I ever had a conversation with Life Under that he gave me permission to talk about, I would say that this is somebody who is one of the most spiritually honed and intellectual people I have never had a conversation with. Super, super individual. Let me see here. Just a Dude says, no way, man. Getting old is great. Well, I'll put that up there. Well, Just a Dude, you remind me of a really good buddy of mine who's a Native American, and I consider him to be family. And I agree. I love your positive attitude, Just a Dude. And one thing I got to say about American Indians in particular, or you want to call them Native Americans to be politically correct, whatever, is they really do have a super positive outlook on life as a general rule, as long as they stay away from the fire water. That's the problem. Let me see here. And Miestero says alternate your legs. Okay. Life Under says 99.99% empty space. The physical is the facade. Wow. I'm putting that up there. Hey Diddy, what's up, dog? Let me see here. What's up, Big Diddy? So everybody, welcome P. Diddy to the show today. Super happy to have you here, buddy. I hope things are going well in there for you. At least you're, around a bunch of people who are probably into the same things that you're into. Sorry there's not 12-year-old boys in there for you, but, at least you're having a good time. Let me see here. Great kids, yes, James Forbes says. And Miestero says you may need low impact stretches since you did sports. Absolutely. And so that's all I do is low impact. And one thing that you always never want to do is bounce. So when you bounce, you trigger a muscle reaction that tightens your muscle and you can actually tear your muscle. So really be careful not to bounce. There's old school gym teachers taught you to bounce when you touch your toes, and it's sort of like muscle memory in a lot of us older folks, but we don't want to do that. Let me see here. Salt and meat, Life Under's talking about. I'm trying to get, man, there's so many comments, guys. I wasn't expecting all these guys. So Just a Deuce says, my understanding of the carnivore diet is it's supposed to be an elimination diet, and eventually you can add stuff back, I think anyway. Well, Just a Dude, that sounds a lot like the keto diet that I used to be on, but who knows? But I'm learning every day, and one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me, honestly, is doing this YouTube channel, because I get more information from my audience than I definitely ever got from for-profit media, even stock tips, which we'll get into in a second. So let's see here. Sancha Villa says, hey, baby cakes. All right, hey, baby cakes, back to you. Merry Christmas. And Lisa Van Sickle says, Merry Holidays, everyone. Well, Merry Christmas to you, Lisa Van Sickle. God bless you. And let me see here. Let me see. Miestero says that would be a fun. I know what you mean, though, for YouTubers who get striked, and she says that would be a fun legal series for you to do. Yeah. And BZ Watchdog says he's lonely. Well, BZ Watchdog, you're part of the family. You're part of Team MPE. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of me to go around. Yesterday, I wanted to help you, but my daughter and I were running around the house trying to find my wallet for about 20 minutes, and I still have adrenaline taste in my throat because I was worried that my wife may have taken it with her to El Salvador, and I was thinking, how the heck are we going to get on the plane with no ID? So let me see here. And then Life Under says, oh, look at this. Life Under has, I'm going to leave that up there for you, but braise, broil, make some salty beef broth, and boil, grill, bake, fry in lard and butter, sear some steak, burgers, chops, and ribs, and all the scraps. Mix it up, grind it up. Meat helps you live heal it up. Yeah, I agree with that, man. I do agree with that. And then Miastero says, you know, you can work out with your guns and do yoga that way. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Let me see here. And Feliz Navidad to you, Gatita Oso. Thanks for joining me. Good seeing you as well. I think I've seen Gatita Oso over at Steve Lado's channel. And Life Under says, I've got some arms that can bear hug you, BZ. Get over here. Yeah, my understanding is Life Under is a pretty big dude. I don't know if he's as big as Letso TVO, though. So be careful, guys. So, guys, I'm going to go. What I'm going to do really quick is I want to share with you this cool video just so to buy me some time, right? To buy me some time. And because I'm going to go and grab some gold and silver and show you guys some cool stuff, just because it's like one of the coolest things you could ever tangibly, physically hold on to. And this is a guy that talks about finding gold deposits, and what a cool thing to discuss. And I think that I have one of my members, maybe it's What's the Matter You even, who is a gold prospector. And so this is something real cool. I'll share this with you, and I'll be right back, guys. So same bat time, same bat channel. Don't go away, okay?
The magic rule is what? 1, 3, 7, and 21. Now, if you don't know what that is, stay to the end of the video, and I'll explain what those magic numbers are to finding gold around those volcanic necks and plugs. I'm going to show you one of the dangers of coming out here to these old mines. Now, he's sleeping right now, but if you look at his head, he's coiled and ready to strike. Watch where you're walking and where you're putting your hands at. Big old pipe sticking up out of the ground. You know what that's for, huh? Now, if you think you know what that thing is for, why don't you leave me a comment down below? I know what it is, but do you know what it is? All right, you can see where they're cutting into diabase right here. Diabase and basalt are similar, but that's what it looks like. It's black, fine grain, very little silica. It's in the mafic category. Now, if you haven't seen my video on identifying rocks, especially out here in the Arizona desert, check out that card right up there. Go ahead and click that, and it'll give you a brief explanation of all these different terms that I'm going to be using in the video. It's very important for you to understand this. You're going to come out here and prospect, and you're going to see this in the waste rock piles. Now, you can see where the quartz vein runs along the hill all the way down there. Then you can see where there's another mine down there. And what do we have in the background? That's right. That's a volcanic neck or plug. And these are like spokes of a wheel coming off. A lot of times you'll have radial vein structures coming off of these necks and plugs. Think of it coming up as it's protruding out like spokes on a wheel. You have all these fracture zones, and then eventually those are filled with hydrothermal fluid. It's got some depth to it. A barn owl living in there somewhere. It's got a little cut right there on the side. You see that? Right up there against that andesite, that green andesite. Beautiful looking vein. Look how wide it swells out. It gets up to about 6-7 feet wide. Now, I already went ahead and I ran this particular mine site through mindat.org and, of course, through the MRDS. If you don't know what those are, you really need to research that. I'll leave links down below so you can check it out. But as this mine and the other mines on this particular vein structure went down, values got richer because as they come up to the surface, a lot of the mineralization is leached out. A lot of the stuff on the top is referred to as bull quartz. It's not worth anything. This one and the ones along this structure at the very lowest depths reach 3 ounces per ton. And that's native gold too. That's not sulfides. And look at this stope over here. This is what I'm talking about. See where they went ahead and they stoked out that entire vein structure? There's the hanging wall, and that's the foot wall. Hanging walls you can always tell because they're slanted in, and foot walls are slanted away. But this one's got some good depth to it. There's another one up the way that's got even more depth, and they pulled out even more gold. All right, I'm going to show you a simple way to sample for free mill gold in these hard rock mines, and then I'll cover other techniques if you guys want to get more involved and more in depth in it. If you plan on working your own hard rock mine. All right, this is the first clue. See that? Most people think it's just a wooden post in the ground. It's not. That's important for when you're going to be sampling these hard rock mines. This is part of an old trestle system. Now, if I have a mine right there, and I need to get my waste rock over here, I need to build a bridge, a trestle, if you will. And most of your mines that are on the sides of hills or in the mountains, they'll build a trestle from the portal or the shaft entrance, the collar, out and away. And they'll slowly start dumping and dumping and dumping until they get to the very end of that trestle. When they do, they'll build another trestle. This is the end of a trestle right here. And there's posts like this all over because you can see where they ran it out so far, stopped, built another trestle, so on and so forth. Here's another one right here. The second post is gone. Why are these important? Why am I telling you this? It's real simple. Because when you go to sample these mine dumps, you're going to need to know where they stopped. That will be the lowest point. Remember what I told you about the quartz that's towards the surface on these fissure-filling vein structures? A lot of it towards the surface isn't going to have any values in it. It can, but most often it doesn't. It's already been leached out over thousands, if not millions of years. So you need to go down. If you want to come out here and see what they were getting, you need to go to the end of the run that they were digging when they were down in that shaft or inside that adit. You're going to go to the very ends of these guys and you're going to trench sample. What you're looking for is indicators. A lot of this quartz out here is milky white. It has no mineralization in it, so it looks like waste rock. But if you see any reds or browns or dark staining inside of that material, then you know you're on a winner. So here I got a piece of trachyte, which is in the andesite family. There ain't going to be nothing in that. That's the country rock out here. Here I got some porphyry, which is altered andesite. Basically what's happened is hydrothermal fluids have come in. They've altered it into this. You're going to see a lot of that in waste rock piles. Sometimes gold will be in there. You can't see it, but there's actually a dike that's coming off of this guy, a feeder dike as they call it. There's actually several of them that come in the area, and that's important because it's heating up those fluids and getting them to circulate. That's very important.
Oh, heck yeah. Sacramento Lenny says, anybody want a gold hunt? Absolutely. So Mias Taro says it's very hard to invest in gold. You have to prove it's not stolen. Well, I didn't know about that. I'm not like the most savvy. My expertise is in law, and I just know that our Constitution requires that our money be backed by gold. Well, we don't even have money anymore. We have Federal Reserve notes, which are notes of debt. They're considered to be legal tender because they're backed by the promise of our government, just like Social Security. Even though the trust fund has been cleared out, it's guaranteed by the promise of a bunch of politicians. So I don't trust it. I trust our founding fathers more than I trust a bunch of scumbag politicians. But let's see here. So I was watching this gold show last night, and I was thinking, they were talking about all this stuff, and I was like, man, I want to show off some of my cool stuff. So this is a Krugerrand, and I think these are like $3 or $4 grand right now. And what you want to do is you want to always get like American or like South African gold, and you want to have a gold dealer that you really trust. You don't want to, and I'm not like recommending anybody. I learned a long time ago that that's a problem because then people hate your guts if you made the wrong recommendation. But I have someone who's really good who sells me for under market, and this is American gold here. And I don't store my gold at my home either. For obvious reasons, but I went and grabbed it to show you guys some cool stuff that we have. And this will go to the kids. So let me see here. Now, another cool thing that you can do with gold, yeah, dealer that you trust, that's right. You can also get these. These are now Texas and California, or no, not California. Texas and Florida, I believe, they're going to go back on a gold-backed and silver-backed currency, and they'll be creating currency similar to this. And this is I think worth more than 100. It's got gold in it, and it'll be similar to this, but it'll say like Texas or Florida. And this is because gold, because you don't obviously want to carry around a bunch of gold with you. So you could use this to trade with. You want to buy a weapon or something, you could just trade back and forth. But again, it's the reason why I tell you guys we need to create parallel systems is because obviously you don't want to do business with people that you don't trust because they can try to give you fake stuff. Give me 1 second. I got to close my door here. Now, another reason why I wanted to do this show is that the other day, a school kid got arrested by the police for trying to buy cafeteria food with a $2 bill. So that tells you how dumb the public education system is, right? So I'll try to share that with you in a minute. But so this is a $2 bill. They've been making these since the dawn of time in America, I think. And yes, they're legal tender. And $2 bills are cool. And so James Forbes says that we should barter and trade. That's right. That's what it's all about, brother. So, and then now less valuable because they're so easy to fake are silver bars. So like that's a silver bar. This is 0.999% pure silver. Very cool. And it's, hopefully you guys can see it. Very, very cool stuff. Got a bunch of these silver bars. And so this is called stacking. So this is called stacking, where you buy a bunch of precious metals and you stack them. And this is from Scottsdale silver. Pretty cool, right? Isn't it beautiful? It's just so fun to play with. Like, I can understand why the Lord of the Rings, those midgets on Lord of the Rings, like to play with that stuff. Let me see here. Sacramento says, the only thing we might not have a plan to live on by 2030 because the fish and the bugs and animals will be 70 to 90% gone, says Diane Wigington on Geoengineering Watch last Saturday. Well, I hope that's not true. Gosh, that would be terrible. So one of the things, stacking bricks, that's what Mias Taro says. Now, Michael Corleone, I would never buy anything online. Michael's asking, where would you recommend to buy stuff like this online? I wouldn't. I would find a trusted gold and silver dealer, and I would find that out through a friend or a family member who you trust, and only do business with people like that, or like somebody who's a part of Team MPE, right? Form parallel systems with people that you trust. Now, the problem with the gold, now, by the way, if you're going to buy gold, this is what they say you should buy. You should buy these American gold. I think it's called the Gold Eagle. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But you want to buy the American gold because this is the stuff that's easy to sell. It's easy to trade in. Now, the downside, from what I've been learning, because again, I'm not an expert. Now, if you wanted to talk about buying and selling firearms, that's a different story. I'm an expert at that. But with the problem with the gold is, even if you buy it below market and the price goes up, remember, in order for the dealer to be able to sell it to the public, they have to buy it at a lower price. So if you're taking your gold to a dealer, you're not going to get the market price for it. So that's a real problem. So it's more of a long-term buy and hold kind of a thing, and also just for fun, because it's so cool to look at. It's just fun to play with. Let me see. So, and now silver is a different deal. It comes in these really cool containers. I got a bunch of them, but you can kind of see, like, how cool is that? Like, just like, let me see if I can get this out of here for you. Come on, guys, get out of there. Hold on. Oh. So you can kind of see, like, silver is like really heavy. So the problem with silver is it's really hard to, you can't really lug it around with you. It's just a lot, But it comes in these containers. Very cool. Hold on a minute. Let me put it back in the container here. But it's they say that silver is undervalued right now, so it's a good time to buy silver. I also have invested in a bunch of silver mines, but it's kind of weird, when the silver mine is when the silver mine prices when you're not getting a good return on your investment with silver, usually the prices of silver or gold, usually the prices of silver and gold are relatively high. And then when the prices of silver and gold go down, for some reason, your silver mining and gold mining stocks go up. It's the most weirdest thing. Yeah, and Sacramento says the Krugerrand and the Canadian is fine too. Yeah, I try and stay away from anything Canadian. I don't want to have anything to do with a Marxist communist country. But other than that, I agree with you on the Krugerrands, especially the older ones. And so what I was going to get into is what I try and do is buy like the $5 silver rounds. And when I go to a restaurant or something like that, because, you got the young kids waiting on your table. Well, everyone's young to us now, right? And you want to, so I leave them pieces of silver and, little tiny gold pieces, if I have any. In order, because now they're like, well, I'm stuck here with this thing, this 99% silver. What do I do with this, right? So that makes them go on the internet and they're like, holy crap. Because like when I gave him that silver piece, it might have been worth $50, right, for a tip. But the next day it might be worth 60 or 70. And I had one guy come back, a food server, and say, wow, thank you for that. It went up like by $10 like 3 days over the last 3 days. Thanks. I'm not even gonna turn it in, And with the incoming president, they're gonna, I guess, eliminate taxes on tips, which I think is a great thing. I think any tax on income is evil and wicked, and it should be completely eliminated. Give me a bunch of ones if you believe there should be no income tax. It should be eliminated, and we should go back to our original system that our founding fathers wanted for us, which was an excise tax, right? Because that's how it was. But so the income tax was a Marxist idea to help promulgate class warfare and keep us divided. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. So yeah, silver and gold, and then getting rid of the income tax, and then tipping your waiters and waitresses with real gold and silver, because then the young crowd can be like, wow, I have precious metal now. And then they go on Google, or hopefully they don't use Google anymore, maybe Grok, right? But they start learning about precious metals, and then they start getting the idea of what's going on. So anyways, I just wanted to share a little bit of that. I mean, I would say this thing probably weighs about, 60 or 70 pounds. It's pretty freaking heavy. And obviously that's just a very small amount of what I have. And if you want to come and try and get it from me after you face about 20,000 rounds coming down range, you may feel differently about it. But and then Micro Willie says, why not pay the minimum wage? I don't know what that means, but let's see here. So anyways, so that was part of what I wanted to share with you. I got a chance to share with you my judo bands that my wife got for me to teach you how to throw, like so you can keep your throwing down. These are just like rubber. And I'll try to find a video while we're doing the show to show you how these things work, because they're really awesome, especially for you guys who want to build your torque and your torso, like build your throwing muscles. People who've been in martial arts in the past who don't have time to go to the gym or screwed up, Yes, Sacramento Lenny, you can get, well, I don't know if you're going to pay $5 for them, but they're called $5 silver rounds. You can take a look. But, what I'll try to do is get old pieces of silver, stuff like you could get it up, well, you can find it, but you want to get it from a reputable dealer. Yeah, that's about right. They're tiny, and you just give a bunch of them, and you want to give different denominations, and you don't want to give the old, like quarters and dimes that are made out of real silver, right? Because the waitress and later they have not been taught properly because they went to a public school, so they have no clue what real silver is. Oh, you gave me a quarter. No, I gave you real silver. That's worth about a couple $100. So you want to find the nice brand new shiny ones, and look, it may cost you a little bit of a premium, but just like when I do the show, guys, I'm not saying that I'm losing money to do these shows, but I'm certainly not getting rich from doing a YouTube channel. So one of the things that I feel called to do is to educate people about their rights, duties, and obligations under natural law to make America a better place and a safer place for our kids. Because once you have children, everything changes, and you realize, wow, life really is a lot different than you might think if you were single. Because once you have offspring, it's like you want to make sure you leave the world a better place for them. You don't really matter as much, at least if you're a legit, intelligent parent. Okay, so let's see here. Greetings from Germany, Klaus Meyer. Merry Christmas. Was ist los, mein Herr? Alles gut? Ja? Und. Let me see here. Micro Willie. Good seeing you here, brother. So Tiena Blas Bismos. Merry Christmas, bro. James Forbes. Big Mike Audits. Hey, Big Mike. Good seeing you, man. It's funny because some of the guys that I see in here, let me see here. I see a lot of guys who I see also on Steve Lado's channel. I'm a real fan of Steve. I think he's really cool. He's definitely got a different demeanor and personality than me. But we're into the same things. He likes high performance cars. I think he's got a Cobra and a Viper. Obviously I'm a Porsche man. I had a 56 and a 59 356A Porsche when I was younger, and I also had a Porsche 911. But anyways, one of the 356s that we had a 2.8 liter supercharged Volkswagen motor in it that we got from one of those Mickey Thompson off-road sand rails. Man, that thing was unbelievable, guys. I mean, it would just like fly off. So we had to put 45-pound weights in the trunk, which is in the front of a Porsche. And that was it was candy apple red. And man, I had people pull up to me at gas stations. I had one guy, a briefcase full of cash. I'll give you 20,000 cash right now for your car. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I would never sell this car. My dad and I built this together, because we restored it. Like, you got to be kidding me. Of course, that was back when, the car was probably worth 20 or 30 market, right? I mean, back in, 1994 maybe? So, yes, that's right. Sacramento Lenny's right. 90% of silver is probably junk. Yeah, junk. So, yeah. Yes. Okay. So I think what Sacramento Lenny is talking about, so they call like the used silver, the American, like the old beat up silver coins that are still pure silver, 9.999, whatever. They call them junk silver, right? So like, for example, this silver, this is like the stuff you want to get if you're going to be like investing in silver. This is what you would buy from a silver dealer. And these are called silver eagles. And the biggest thing is, it's so hard now. There's so much counterfeit stuff. You want to make sure you get it from a reputable dealer. And again, if you're doing it because you think you're going to like make a bunch of money off it, maybe not. Because again, if you're going to sell it in bulk to a dealer, they're going to want to buy it from you below market. So anyways, it comes in these really cool containers. And I think this is, I don't know, this is probably like $400 or $500 worth of silver right here. It's kind of cool. And then, of course, again, these are silver bars, and these are worth less because it's harder to prove that it's real silver. All right, so it's more of a risk. But just because I'm one of these guys who just wants to feel it, like it's just freaking heavy, guys. Like this right here, I would say this is about 6 pounds. 6 pounds, and they're just tiny. So silver is real heavy. That's the lesson about that. And I wanted to talk to you guys too about Bitcoin as well. And Stomper Prepper bars. Yeah, man, Stomper, if we're going to talk prep, I think you got to be looking at junk silver, and you got to be looking at gold. And when I say gold, I mean like gold that could be broken up into pieces of 8 the way they used to do it back in the old days. But again, if you don't have the proper friends, if you don't have a network of parallel systems, right, of like-minded patriotic people who you can trust with your life, which I'm hoping I can develop here with Team MPE, of really patriotic people. So anywhere we go in the world, we know we got a couch to sleep on and a friend we can trust, right? Like how, like if you go to church, you're more likely than not to find someone who's trustworthy and reliable, right? Can I at least get some ones on that? I'm not saying 100%, but you're more likely than not to find someone who's trustworthy and reliable. The same way I feel about the Marine Corps. When I meet people who were fellow Marines, former Marines, I know that there's a certain level that they have that matches mine, where we have similar training and we're patriotic, we love our country. I'm not saying all Marines are honorable, good people, but there's, there's a higher probability you're going to find a good person. You're always going to find scumbags, but they're usually the exception and not the rule in those two particular communities. Now, let me see here. So Jeremiah says a magnet. Oh, somebody I guess was saying use a magnet. Yeah, silver is not magnetic, but you could definitely tell if it's made out of iron, right? If you used a magnet, you'd know that it's fake. Let me see here. And then, yeah, Stomper, I'm not, again, prepper bars. Maybe that's a place we could go have a drink after the apocalypse. I don't know. And let me see here. Micro Willie says the education system failed you, especially. Don't know what that's all about. Ja, toll. Mola Gomedov, haha, sehr gut ausgesprochen. Es geht so, Mola Gomedov. Interesting because you have a Russian name, but that's cool. You speak German. Ich spreche kleine Deutsch. Kleine Deutsch. Let me see here. Hello from Afghanistan. Good seeing you, buddy. Hope you're safe over there, man. And let me see here. All right, I'm just going through the comments here. I've got a 10 speed. Does that count? Yeah, now, Sacramento Linny, can you tell us a little bit about junk silver? 90% of silver, are you saying is junk silver, or that we should be buying 90% of our silver as junk silver? And that's right. History Viper is right. Check all your quarters before 71, because if you have a pre-1971 quarter, the chances are it's actually made out of real silver instead of this garbage that the mints have created. Let me see here. Let's go. Hey! Ja, alles gut hier in Schweden, gern. Jag älskar dig, Swedish Observer. My buddy Swedish Observer's here. As you guys know, I'm Swedish, Norwegian, and a little bit of German and Scottish, man. F6, Jimmy. Aye, Jimmy. It's great, great. I used to live in Scotland, in Motherwell. Love the Scots, man. They're just the coolest people. I actually learned boxing, or trained boxing, under Walter McGowan, and he was a holder of a Lonsdale belt. And I think he passed away not too long after I left there. I bounced at a bar called Memories Lounge in Motherwell, Scotland. I stayed with the Scottish family, the O'Connors, good people. Their son, Frankie, ended up becoming, I think, an amateur or maybe even a pro boxer. He trained under Walter. And when I was there, I also went to some seminars. I think one of them was it was either Benny the Jet or, trying to remember the guys, Sticks from the Steven Seagal movie. Man, I know his name, but just my brain's not working this morning. The Filipino guy. Not Benny the Jet, no. Well, you guys know who I'm talking about. The guy who played Sticks in the Steven Seagal movie, the pool sticks. Filipino Kali and Eskrima guy, and I learned a little bit of stick fighting there. And prior to that, I had done Muay Thai. It was one of the very first, the Muay Thai Kickboxing Association of America, at a YMCA in Corona, California, when it first came to the U.S. I mean, nobody had ever heard of Muay Thai. Everybody was all about Bruce Lee and karate, and we couldn't find a kung fu or a karate class. So my mom enrolled me in this Muay Thai class, and I'm glad she did, because my Thai kick is so powerful that when I got into fist fights at school, it enabled me to completely disable my opponents by kicking them in the thigh, because it's just such a powerful kick. It's like a whip, bam, and then because of my judo, I was able to get in close and throw them, and that's why I ended up getting kicked out of school. But I was a little guy and always got picked on, because bullies like to pick on people that they think are an easy mark. And my dad basically gave me the option of, you either fight or you don't come home, right? Like, no son of mine is going to get a licking from anybody. You never back down. So he had no problem with me getting a full-time job at 16. I moved out of the house, got a full-time job as a painter's apprentice, and he didn't even care if I stayed in school, but I did. I went to a night classes at independent study off of East Chapman Avenue over there in Orange, and I would be a painter's apprentice, get up at like 04, 05 like I do now, and I learned how to do all the prep. You called us prep man. I was a prep man, so I learned how to prepare surfaces. And prior to that, I'd worked every summer since I was about 10 years old with Dad at his job sites as a super, as a GM at the job site, and then he'd have me work with all the different trades, so I know how to do plumbing, electrical, and I could throw up the sticks. I did rough frame. I mean, I still have splinters in my hands, believe it or not, like that are so deep in there, just like they're part of my body now, right? Oh, that's great. So SW Observer says, I've been to 15 distilleries in Scotland. I love Ardbeg, Lagavulin, and Bowmore, Jimmy, and Bunnahabine. Best bar in Glasgow. It's pot still. Is the pot still, Jimmy? That's great. That's great, SWE Observer. Hopefully I haven't lost too much of my Scottish accent. Now, when I first got to Scotland, SWE, I didn't understand a word these guys were saying. I thought I was in a foreign country. And so, and I didn't know that they hate the English. I was like, well, you're British, so, but whether you're, I stayed with a Catholic family, but whether you're Catholic or Protestant, they equally hate the English, or at least when I was there, they absolutely hated the English. And so, oh, that's great, SWE. Thank you, Jimmy. F6, man. You're going to take one for me. Take one for the team. Me as Taro, I didn't plan on drinking for Christmas, to be honest. But I'm not going to lie. If somebody showed up with a good scotch, I would do it. Because they really know how to, good stuff, man. It's great. So let me see here. So James Forbes had a painting business and a handyman business. Yeah, well, James, I was a C-47 contractor. And so in California, that's like a B1. But in addition to B1, I also had to know electrical, and it's manufactured housing. So what that means is, like mobile home parks, they have a centralized electrical power grid. So I had to know how to do all that stuff too. And so, yeah, my background, I still have calloused hands and a little bit, not like I used to. But yeah, my background is doing construction. And that's why I think, yeah, thanks, James. I know he was a good father, but he was really messed up from Vietnam. He was a brute. He was just really messed up. But he was a good man. He forced me to go to church, and he was more worried about my soul than anything else. He wanted me to save my soul. What a cool guy. Yeah. Right, what's the matter? You? That's right. Yeah, so let's play a little bit of this video here for a second. Let me recover.
You got to get that fluid on the move. As it goes through, it saturates the rock, and it can either fill in the voids with mineralization, or you can actually pull it out of the rock and carry it along with it. So it's very important to have some type of a system that heats it up. Feeder dikes are great for that, and you'll see that a lot in depositions. What I like to do is I like to go to the very ends of the trestles, and I'll do a trench straight across. And I'm going to do that today. I'll trench here, I'll trench there, anywhere it looks like it's at the end of a run. Now you don't have to go very deep. Maybe a foot is the most you have to do. You see this basaltic material that came from the dike system radiating off of that volcanic plug. I really don't think there's going to be any gold in here, but I have seen systems like up in Washington where the gold was found right up against those basaltic dikes, if you will. Now most of the time I'll put bags in between, sandbags, to differentiate where I'm pulling this at. But if I'm just going out to do a quick grab sample or trench sample, I'll just throw it all in one bucket, and then I'll mark the bucket where it came from, and if I find any values whatsoever, then I can go back and be more specific about it. You can tell it's an old mine. Look how small that hole is, and look at the pattern. While you're around the portal of either the adit or the shaft around the collar, look for their high-grade piles. Now, if the mine was small enough and didn't have an ore bend, chances are they would sack it up right there at the portal or the collar of the shaft. It'll be easy to spot because you'll see a pile of rocks that don't look like they belong there. And what you're going to do is called a grab sample. You're just going to grab a couple of the rocks that look like they have the most mineralization in them, and you can take those back, crush them down, and check to see if there's any values in that. Especially if the mine shut down prior to World War II because of Executive Order L208. That means that the ore never got a chance to make it to the mill, which is good news for you. To make things profitable, it has to be 1 ounce per ton or higher. If you're in it just for fun, then you can go down as far as 1/4 ounce per ton. You see where I have a basaltic dike? Right here. Let's see how many of you out there can figure this out. What is that? I've got fragments of andesite in there. See that? Sharp, angular fragments. What do you think that is? Now, I know most of you are going to say, oh, Jeff, that's caliche. It's not caliche, Sonny Jim. Here's another dike right here. Now, I'm showing you this right now because right here, this is a good spot to find gold, placer gold, in these little nooks and crannies right in here. You see that? This would be a great place to run a backpack. Anywhere where it's rough and angular like this, the gold can get stuck in these little tiny fractures. And this is perfect because it's running perpendicular to the wash. So as the gold is flowing over, it gets stuck while the lighter material or the flow sand blows on by. So these are great areas to check. And if you're a good prospector like I know you are, you should already know all this stuff. But I'm just going over it for the people who might not be familiar with it. Now, if you know where these steps go, leave me a comment down below. Somebody put a lot of work into these steps. Look at that. What is that? Look at all those basaltic flows right above my head. Now, look at this. Right out of the rock. Isn't this cool? Oh, look at that. All that water. Oh, look inside. I got, looks like goldfish are in there. Yeah, look at that goldfish. Right there. See him? There's that goldfish. Got a whole bunch of water seeping out of the rocks back behind me. There's a natural aquifer inside of this mountain. It comes out right here, and somebody has taken the time to build up this wall, or retaining wall, so the water can seep out. And then the water fills up that little pool right there, and somebody's populated it with some type of goldfish.
Hey, that's pretty cool. So I've just been kind of going back and forth because somebody mentioned, Merry Christmas, everybody, by the way. And for all you people who have lost a family member or a loved one, you're welcome here with Team MPE. We're glad you're here today. And we're talking a little bit about gold and precious metals. And here, I'll show you some again really quick. So I just think it's the coolest. So this thing here is like, I think worth like, what, $3 or $4 grand right now. It's just ridiculous. And it's just a little Krugerrand. Very cool. It's 10 ounces of gold. So can somebody tell me in the sidebar what 10 ounces of gold is selling for right now for a Krugerrand? Yeah, so anyways, that was a gold mine that we were just showing you. And somebody on my show mentioned, I think it was Sacramento Lenny, that oh, hey, Big Mike Audits watches this guy's channel all the time, I guess. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Jeff Williams, he's got 363,000 subscribers. Holy crap. Here, I'll drop the link for you guys to this video. So yeah, I do personal injury law. That's right. Yeah, so I help people with car accidents and truck accidents, but I'm also, I'm open for questions today, guys, about pretty much anything you want to ask me about the law. And if I don't have the answer, I'll either get it for you or I'll find you a lawyer who can answer it. I'm licensed in Texas and California, but I do primarily catastrophic injury claims for military veterans. I was a Marine, my dad was a Marine, and most veterans don't really like lawyers generally, and they don't want to do business with most lawyers because, let's face it, most lawyers are egomaniacs. They're not like us. They're not blue collar guys like us. So that's my claim to fame, is that I became a lawyer with no law degree or undergrad on the California State Bar Law Office study program, and I was honorably discharged from the Corps. Ended up getting my C-47 contractor's license, like James Forbes and I were talking about. But throughout having all these different businesses, I helped start the LA Fitness Health Club off of Santiago Canyon Road in Anaheim Hills, #1 in sales, and all that stuff. Thanks, James. And so sort of I got my contractor's license. I sold earthquake braces after the Loma Prieta earthquakes, made hundreds of thousands of dollars doing the Office of Emergency Service and FEMA grants, where I would go out and I would, because the mobile homes, they sat on these. Here, I'll show you. So basically, like they sit on these like little tripods like this, right? Then there's an I-beam that goes across. You guys understand? There's like an I-beam that goes across, and so when the earthquakes hit, the I-beam they shook out, and these things went through the floors of the mobile homes. The mobile homes fell over, and like it's like a spike, right? And a lot of people got spiked, like died or lost their feet from getting spiked. Especially double wides, because the double wides have a beam that runs down the center, and then they would break in half. And so, as a result of that experience, James, I got my C-47, and because it's manufactured housing, so I could start selling the earthquake. So what I did is I sold earthquake jacks. So here's the I-beam, right? And so the earthquake jacks had like a boot, like a little enclosure around the, like this, that would grab on to the I-beam. And some of them even had a thing where it would lock around the top. And that would prevent it from just falling off the jack. And so FEMA and OES were giving out grants for that. And so I sold thousands of those things and made big money doing that. And because of my background in health club sales and stuff, like I was good at it. And I'm a natural, because I'm good with people, because I've had to be around the roughest and toughest people, Marines and construction workers. The most cynical people you'll ever meet are Marines and construction workers. And and also because I was smaller and I didn't like to fight, because I didn't like getting kicked out of school, I would always try to talk my way out of a fight first. Always try to talk my way, and I got good at it. Because even if you win, you lose in a fight. Okay, you're going to get hurt, and you still got to explain to Dad why you got kicked out of school. And so you always want to be able to say, well, I tried to de-escalate. I always try to de-escalate, Dad, because back then they didn't use the belt, and they just pull the biggest 2x4, lift you up by your ankles, and that's how it was back when I was growing up. So yeah, so that's the deal. So those earthquake jacks, I did real well with that. I think I paid cash for a really cool Jeep Wrangler with a lift kit, and I was into bodybuilding, and I lived in Huntington Beach, so I'd be cruising up and down PCH, and all the girls would be throwing themselves at me. And I had this, like 3,000 watt stereo system with the Rocker Fosgate 12-inch woofers, and I think it was a Philips equalizer, and I'll be blasting like Dr. Dre, The Chronic, and all that stuff. And of course, the girls all love that jungle music. So I was in like Flynn, and I was surfing, and it was a cool life. Yeah. So that's right. You still lose, James. That's right. You want to avoid the fight. You want to avoid the fight. Now, a guy like Life Under says, I fought for months after my school stopped any students from attending our homecoming. Oh, okay, you fought. Okay, I got it. So you didn't. Okay, and got it passed to have my girlfriend come and got suspended for defending myself in a fight. Yeah, and that's the thing. So, and you want to avoid that fight. And of course, my parents were divorced, and I begged my mom to let me live with my dad, and she had legal custody. She had no, and she knew he was a brute, but she knew that I needed him. She knew that and any boy needs a father, okay? That's just how it is. A boy needs his dad, and I had the opportunity to not be, he took me with him to like the job site, and forced me to work with these guys. Anyways, as a result of that, hey, good seeing you, YouTube admin. As a result of that experience working with blue collar people, it helped me become a much better lawyer than these guys that spend their whole lives in college. Because I have the ability to relate to people and look at it from their point of view. Because I'm a guy who slept on park benches. Like I've made millions, I've lost millions. Before that, on my way up to becoming a lawyer, I sold I used to be Rodney Dangerfield's limousine driver. I had a limousine company. I sold my limo company to my partner, my percentage of the company to my partner, and set that money aside and so I came up to LA and to become a lawyer on the law study program. So because I didn't want to spend money on rent, I found I'd sleep on park benches, sleep on someone's couch, even lived at the Yes Center, YESS Center in Venice Beach, where this dude, like this really cool hippie dude, had this big home, and he set it up with cubicles in this big long room where you'd have a cubicle, kind of like in Japan where they have these hotels that are about the size of a shoebox. But anyways, all that experience, thanks, James. All that experience gave me the opportunity to be with normal people. Because I got to tell you, like these college kids, that's not normal. Like safe spaces and, learning how to hate your founding fathers, assuming that all white males are evil or racist or bigots or homophobes. That's all campus culture garbage. That's not the real world. The real world is that we're all just humans, and a lot of us have a lot of problems. Now, Mias Taro says I could help a lot of the homeless and non-homeless in California. No, I do actually. I volunteer my time, but I primarily focus on veterans, Mias. And one of the things that I do is I go to the Wounded Warrior Battalion at Camp Pendleton and help the EAS Marines. These are awaiting separation guys because they really have it bad, especially Marines. I mean, if you don't have what they call in the Corps, something's wrong with you. because yeah, it's that whole culture is PTSD. And so the culture shock of getting out is a big deal, especially for Marines, because it took me about 3 years to adjust to civilian life, and I was in for like 9-10 months, not even long enough to really. But it's just that the whole culture, the whole mentality is just really, it is really something. So yeah. So I do try to help people as much as I can, and I try to help people like you guys. Hey, no respect. That's right, Life Under. Rodney was a cool guy, and I appreciate all your kind comments. And yesterday you guys gave me a bunch of super chats and stuff. I really appreciate it. Somebody bought some memberships. Actually, one of my members, Brett Ray, bought some memberships to my back channel for other people, and I had a bunch of people reach out to me the next day through my business website, calling me, asking if, saying, hey man, somebody bought me a membership. Who bought it for me? I wanted to thank them because you have the coolest channel ever. And my dad was a Marine, and and real similar background. And by the way, I have a friend who got in a car accident, but it was in Kentucky or whatever. So that's the thing. That's how we build parallel systems, right? Even though I couldn't help him, I'll try to help him find a lawyer in Kentucky. And the idea is a warm market is better than going on Google and finding somebody like on Super Lawyers or something who just pays. Another big scam that I think is a big scam. Hey, Brick, good seeing you. Is Better Business Bureau. I think that's a total scam. I used to pay $500 a year to be in there to maintain my A+ rating. But it's you can pay all these sites to get higher ranking. You can pay phone banks in China to get positive Yelp reviews. You can to get all these 5-star reviews. What I found, honestly, since I started doing this channel, I don't even care about my reviews anymore because people see me on YouTube and they're like, I know that guy's not gonna screw me. I'm gonna hire that guy. So it's kind of cool in a way because I'm able to like dispel all of because your competitors, once you start doing well online, because a lot of scumbags, especially lawyers, right, can pay like a Chinese phone bank to give you 1-star reviews. So what they do is they have these banks of cell phones, and they'll pay someone with like 50 phones in a box, and they'll drive around town and stop in front of different businesses for a few seconds, and that programs into their phones tracking because they have a Yelp app or whatever, Google app, and then that phone bank then it goes back to an office or whatever, and they use AI to like give all these 1-star reviews to all your competitors to try to put them out of business because you go up higher in the search engine rankings when you have a bunch of 5 stars and your competitors have lower star ratings than you. So yeah, I don't trust any of that stuff, that Yelp and Better Business Bureau, all that stuff to me is a joke. I think the best way to find somebody is through a friend, through a family member, and based on their results, their actual results. Like I think I have the largest motorcycle accident settlement in the history of the United States. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure. And it's a case where I represented a former Army Airborne guy, and we got him it was either 10.5 or 10.7. I think with the contribution from a co-defendant it went to 10.7 million, which is huge. It was a really great result for him. Super proud that I was able to help him because the lawyer that I took the case over from him, I think wanted to settle it at nuisance value for like 10 grand or something. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Because he was arguing comparative negligence. The guy was riding his motorcycle up a hill at night, and there was a lowboy trailer that was blocking. It was blocking, right? And so the argument was that he should have seen it, and that he must have been been high or something because he's a biker. And so that was their argument. And I was like, no, even if he was high, it doesn't matter. Even if he had stuff in his blood, it doesn't matter. The fact that lowboy was there, it was low, number one. And so, boom, hits his head, was in a coma for about a week, brain injury, but still able, functioning, but still, anytime you hit your head, you're going to get a brain injury. And I was like, so that's why I try to tell you guys, like sometimes liability will find damages, but it takes the right lawyer who's creative. And so that's what I attribute, like James is saying, my background, my blue collar background of having been, falsely arrested over a parking ticket and getting smart with the cop. And so now I know, like most people who are part of the, administrative education system, at least when I was growing up, oh my God, you popped off to a police officer, you deserved to get pulled out of your car and beat up. That's how people thought back then. And I was like, wow. So, I've got that experience where I'm able to put myself in the other guy's shoe. And then also I used to sell insurance too down in San Diego. And so I can see it from both points of view. You know what I mean? So having had all those experiences, it helps me understand how insurance companies think and how adjusters think. And, you just got to know how to make the right argument, and you got to know how to be able to communicate. Communication is so important. So, yes, and so Mia's Tarot, so liability so this is the old saying that we have at my firm is that damages will find liability. So the way it works in a personal injury case is you have to show there was a duty. The person who caused your injury had a duty of reasonable care. So everybody owes everyone a duty to behave reasonably and not to cause them unnecessary harm. So you have to establish the duty, and then you have to show that they breached that duty, that it was their breach of the duty that caused your injury, not someone else's breach, because you might have another party you have to bring in. And then you have to show, well, in California, you just have to show cause, but in law school, they teach you that you have to show it was the actual cause and the proximate cause of your injury. And we can get into that some other time, but you've got to be able to show that it was the cause of your injury, and then you got to show damages. So like trespassing, for example, well, damages are presumed in a trespass case. So I've had cases where I had a client sued for trespass, and the plaintiff ended up winning $1 because there was really no damage to his property. It's just that my client had stepped on his lawn, and that was enough because there was a fence. So I guess he hopped over the fence or whatever, and so he showed trespass, and they were having a dispute, whatever. So I was able to litigate that, and basically there was $1. It was a joke. Ultimately, I was able to convince those guys to quash. So that's another thing I think that you got to do as a lawyer is, look, they had problems with each other, but you got to also look at humans and try to resolve problems, because sometimes you need an objective person to step in. I was ultimately able to get those guys to quash their problem with each other, and so and that's part of being a counselor, right? So it's another job that a lot of lawyers don't understand. Is it's not just about the law; it's about being a good counselor. You have to really care about people, in my opinion, to be a good lawyer. You can't just be in it because you think you're going to make a lot of money. So that brings me back, James. Thanks, James. James says I'd hire you. So that brings me back, James, to this issue about man, I blanked out here. Well, hold on a minute. Well, I'll get into trespass in a second. Life under. The bottom line is you've got to be in a position where you want to help people. You don't want to just get in there because you think you're going to make a bunch of money. The reason I got into law, what motivated me to become a lawyer was getting attacked by Officer Millison, not Millicent, but Millison in West Covina, and it was over a parking ticket. I was like, don't you have anything better to do than write parking tickets? Because I was working as the corporate wellness director at a Bally Total Fitness in West Covina. And the guy was like, I don't have to show you my ID. I was like, give me your ID. Show me a copy of your ID. It's right here. It's right here. And that's before they had the cell phone cameras and all that. And I was like, F you, I was a Marine. I don't have, get out of here. Here's a private parking lot. I'm loading my car, and my car's not unattended. Therefore, it's not parked. I'm loading and unloading. It's not unattended. Because I was one of these patriot guys who used to win and fight all my tickets. With the British West Indies license plate, those guys, they call them sovsits now, but they didn't call them that back then. I think they called them sovereigns but whatever. I didn't care about the label, but the bottom line is the guy pulls me out of my car, beats me up, charges me with a 148 in front of all these people in front of my health club, and really embarrassing. And I get the 148 charge dismissed, get it thrown out, and then I sue the guy and get like $29,999. It was it was an interesting case, and a and so that was like, man, I really got to find a way to be a lawyer. But I'm a sales guy. I make good money in sales. I like working out. I like going to the gym. And then one thing led to another, and as a result of me getting beaten up, the civil rights attorney that helped me told me about this obscure program that I guess only 80 people had ever successfully completed called Law Office Study. And I'm like, okay, I could do that. And then ultimately I enrolled in that program and found I studied under him for a while, but we didn't get along. So I ended up working for a bunch of different personal injury attorneys, and that's why I do PI law now, because they taught me how to do law in motion, how to and the other lawyer was an appellate lawyer, the first guy, so I got really good at appellate work. and went to visit prisoners at the state prison, habeas corpus petitions, helped get people out of prison, really got a detailed look at what it's like inside the prison system. Really made me sick to my stomach how many people have been falsely accused who are in prison. Horrible, horrible, horrible. And so ultimately, yeah, that's why I do personal injury law. A lot of you guys are like, well, why don't you help me with my criminal case? And it's like, well, because I don't really do criminal law anymore, because you have to be in the courtroom all day long. You're just there, like hanging out with all the alcoholics, public defenders, and the prosecutors, and going and having lunch with them and doing plea bargains all day. And it just got old real quick. So I got back into doing PI. The problem with PI, it's really hard to get cases. But because I was also a webmaster, right? But anyways, so much to tell you in such a little amount of time. I was able to do really good on Google and conquer, because that's when you could be number one on Google if you could get a bunch of backlinks from a PR6 website. Give me a bunch of ones if you know what I'm talking about. If there's any webmasters in here who remember the days of PageRank, right? Where, if you got a link from a PR7 or a PR6, you were golden. Your site was going to be number one for whatever keyword you wanted. Well, that all changed. And so, as a result, I don't get as many PI cases as I used to get. So, we're struggling. Most of the money that I earned, we invested into billboard ads, the big billboard signs, because I wanted to get off of the internet and get into the billboards like Larry Parker and all those big hotshots. And then right then and there is when Gavin Newsom shut down California's economy, and all of a sudden there were hardly any cars on the road. And so all that money that we spent, millions of dollars into billboard ads, gone. So we had to lay off a bunch of people. Thank you so much, Gavin Newsom, for destroying California's economy and replacing all the citizens who left with illegal aliens who get free everything from the state. Great job, buddy. Anyways, yeah, I do have that book about how to become a lawyer with no law school that I sell for $20, which you guys can grab. Here, I'll show it to you. So here it is. It's My Journey to Becoming a Practicing Lawyer with No Law Degree or Undergrad. And if you go to I am kinetic, and I still practice law in California, but now I do work comp defense and other stuff, and I still do civil rights sometimes. But look, I've been in practice for over 20 years, so it's not like I'm poor, but I'm not loaded like I was, where I was rolling in a Maserati with the beach house with the ocean view and all that. But after having kids, none of that matters anyways. And everybody thought I was an a-hole for driving around in a Maserati. So now I drive a pickup truck, and people have a lot more respect for me. Thanks, Kinetic. Kinetic Customs bought my book, and he says I already bought it and read it twice. So, Kinetic, Life Under the Microscope. By the way, this ebook is a living ebook, okay? So Life Under the Microscope said that I need to add more stuff about my background, about being Rodney Dangerfield's limo driver, and about sleeping on park benches and all that. So since it's a living ebook, I'm gonna update it. Hey, Huntress down south TLC, good seeing you. Awesome. Yeah, I think. So, anyways, let me see here. Let me go here. So, thanks, Life Under. Mias Taro says, you should be making guap in California law. I swear, Mike, you could dominate. I don't know what guap is, but I, Mias, I'm going to be honest with you. I love homeschooling my children, and my focus now is my kids, making sure they understand natural law, they understand the Bill of Rights, they know that our founding fathers for their time were good people, and that you can't judge people based upon their time, based on the standards of today. Give me a bunch of ones if you guys know what I'm talking about. You have to put them in their time. They were enslaved by the king. The king tried to take away their guns, and as a result, they revolted. And modernly, you have people going along with the program. Oh, they want to take your guns. Good, good. Take their guns. It's like, wow, it's amazing. Just a bunch of billionaires taking control of the news, how they've been able to convince people that they need to be disarmed. Really sad state of affairs. So that's the kind of thing I want to do, is teach the kids about their rights, duties, and obligations as American citizens. And let me see here. How else are you going to get any respect? Right on, Kinetic Customs. I don't know if it was you, Kinetic, who was asking the question the other day about how are you going to teach your kids calculus and algebra and all this other stuff if you're homeschooling them. Well, let me just tell you, number one, your kids are spending about 5 or 6 hours or 8 hours a day, with some far left, teachers union with rainbow flags all over the place, who's politicizing your kids, number one. Number two, the amount of curriculum that they're getting, I can compress into 1 or 2 hours of homeschooling. So for the rest of the day, you're teaching your kids about how to be an entrepreneur, how to build a website, how to buy and sell stocks, other stuff, the truth about Jekyll Island and the Federal Reserve. You're stealing them and gearing them up to where by the time they're 18, they can run their own business. Instead of going to some college campus with safe spaces and then getting a job as a professional barista at Starbucks, and then on their spare time burning American flags with all their friends at some some political rally, right? So, hey, Diana Sharp, good seeing you. I think, Diana, you're a new one, but I love having new guests whenever we can get them. Now, Rod asks, is it possible to have a lawsuit and other paperwork for a lawsuit drafted by an attorney, but not in representation, so I can process a lawsuit? Well, that's a good question. And so, Rod, it is, but here's the problem. Once an attorney takes on the task of helping you with pleadings or paperwork, he is de facto representing you. And so if there are so many ways, so now you could file a bar complaint if things go south and cause a lot of trouble for that lawyer. You could potentially lose his license. Now, there are paralegals who can help you prepare paperwork and stuff like that. And that's what a lot of people do. They hire a paralegal on the side to do that. The problem that I have with self-representation, because I was big time pro se idiot, as they say back in the day, before I became a lawyer, is that you really don't know all the substantive law, the procedural rules, and to a large degree, if the judge is friends with the fellow attorney or whatever, they go golfing together, I just don't feel like you're going to have that oomph that you need to win your case. Now, there are some upsides. You can argue. It's like under Balistreri versus Pacifica, the Court of Appeals, this is a Ninth Circuit case, the Court of Appeals has a duty to ensure that pro se litigants do not lose a fair hearing on the merits of their claim due to ignorance of technical or procedural requirements. That case is a good case because so if you make a mistake on your paperwork, at least the courts are forced to give you deference. But you got to know how to argue the case too, so that's a problem. And then Miastero says, why not use that to rule California? Look, if my kids want, so Mias, if my kids want to be lawyers, if that's what they feel called to do, again, it has to be like, you have to have as the Mormons would say, a burning in your bosom, right? If my kids feel called to become lawyers, absolutely, that's what I'll help them become real good at it. I'm very connected. I could definitely help them become successful. But I'm in Texas as well, and I'd rather live and practice law in Texas. Look, a lot of the people with money have already fled California. The people that would you get your money in a personal injury case from the damages aspect. So if I have a multimillionaire banker who gets rear-ended and he suffers a broken back, and the guy that hit him is like a FedEx truck, so they have unlimited insurance basically, then I can get big money for that client. But the problem with California is there's an oversupply of personal injury lawyers. Most of them aren't that good, but they know how to advertise and get into super lawyers, so people think they're good, right? And so they're getting the cases and malpracticing, and guys like me who are actually really good don't have the exposure, so I'm not getting that case. And there's not as many of those accidents because the people that are successful, people with small businesses, are fleeing California. Last time I was in Torrance, I mean, almost every other business on Torrance Boulevard was boarded up with a for lease sign. But people with children especially don't want their kids in the public school system. You know, most entrepreneurs are educated enough to know that they don't want their kids being sexualized by some teacher who just graduated from UCLA and is all about this, you know, DEI, you know, wokeness stuff. They don't want their kids exposed to that crap. They just don't, and I certainly didn't. That's why we pulled our kids out of there. And private school's not a solution in California, right? Because it's too expensive because of the regulations. So yeah, you could try to homeschool your kids in California, but then what are you paying all those taxes for? You know, because you got to pay those taxes for a public school system you don't even agree on. So people are fleeing. And so what's happening is Newsom is replacing the wealthy population of people like me who left with illegal aliens and giving them free cell phones and free health care out of your paycheck if you're a worker. And they're not going there for jobs because there aren't any jobs for them. Or well, there might be a few, but the bottom line is it's so skewed in California. I'd rather, you know, move to a state where it's more patriotic, like Texas, where they're trying to go back on a gold standard for state currency. Give me a bunch of ones for Texas. Pretty awesome. Yeah, you're right, Kinetic Customs. So homeschooling, so calculus, algebra, all that stuff. So yeah, a lot of these homeschooling courses have retired math teachers who volunteer their time to teach kids, and they don't want to politicize them like they do in California. They don't want to, DEI, rainbow flag, we're coming for your children. No, they don't do any of that stuff. They let parents decide the politicization of their kids, not the government, right? So that's what's cool about homeschooling is you remove your kids from this forced politicization of your kids because they're just kids. And this whole you're a boy, you're probably really a girl. You're a girl, you're probably really a boy. Let's get you on some hormones. No, that's all out the window. So homeschooling is really, really a great idea. Now, Kinetic Custom says at some point California is going to end up falling into the ocean and Arizona is going to be beachfront property. Man, I don't know, buddy. If it falls into the ocean, that tidal wave may end up washing out Arizona too. Yeah, Diana says homeschool your special needs kids too. Absolutely. I mean, look, there are so many great programs like Brett Pike. He has some really classical learner that you could do that. That would be a terrific. If I were you, I would recommend checking out Classical Learner, Brett Pike. I'm trying to become an affiliate for him so I can offer his program to you guys at a discount for you people that have children and whatnot. So yeah, just really quick. So I was telling you guys earlier about, this was a couple of years ago, but let me see. I want to show this to you because it'll give me a chance to make a quick head call. So this was a couple of years ago, but this just shows you how dumb our educators. I can't even imagine how much dumber they've become since then, but man alive. This is a story about a little kid, by the way. So I showed you guys earlier a $2 bill. So this is a $2 bill. And this is legal tender in the United States, all right? $2 bill. And this little kid, he was a little black kid, got arrested for counterfeiting or something. Yeah, I agree with you, Westman 78. More parents need to homeschool. And you got to understand, guys, there are programs where they can get most of their stuff online. What the parents' job, in my opinion, on these homeschool programs is the socialization. Getting your kids out into like a judo class or your daughter into tennis. But you're there with them, right? So that's really what your job is, to spend time with them. Like, I take my daughter to court with me. I actually think that having her in court with me helped me get one of my clients' cases dismissed. So like, Your Honor, I promised my daughter that I would ask you to take a picture. So she's up there taking a picture with the judge. It was so cool. It was at Fullerton Courthouse. One of my clients had this 20-year-old criminal case that was a bunk case. and we got it tossed, and the judge was so happy. And in fact, I think this is the judge who lost his seat to Shifty Schiff, Adam Schiff. So hopefully he'll get his seat back from Schiff, because man, Schiff is a real low life. But real quick, guys, I'm going to play this video for you. Yeah, so we went back on the bench, and we won that case. But anyways, so when you're homeschooling, the idea is, yeah, take your kid to work with you. Teach him how to be an entrepreneur. Teach your daughter how to build a website. Teach your son how to answer your phones. You know, people love it when a youngster answers the phone. Hello, law office. How may I direct your call? And they're like, how old are you, son? Oh, 16. What are you doing? Answer. Well, my dad has this law firm, and he's teaching me how to run a business. Like, wow, I want to talk to your dad. I had a dad like that. You know, that's the kind of stuff you want to do. People love it when you go to a restaurant, go open that door for those old people. Go help them with their wheelchair. That's what homeschooling's about, guys. It's more to it than just curriculum, right? Instead of the Pavlov's dog homeschool thing, or a regular traditional school thing. So check out this video, guys. This is going to blow your mind. It's only 5 minutes. I'm going to go make a quick head call, and we'll get back, all right?
More obvious by the day. This story came out of a Houston area middle school where a 13-year-old 8th grade girl dared to attempt to pay for her lunch with a $2 bill.
Denise and Neil just wanted chicken nuggets at school one day last year, but she never got them.
They sent me to the police office.
The lunch lady thought Denisia's $2 bill was fake, so she called the cops.
The cop, in his infinite wisdom, came and took the girl to the police office, told her that she was in very big trouble, called her grandmother, said they might charge her with a third-degree felony for having a counterfeit $2 bill. Then he went about investigating the high crime of this.
The alleged theft of $2 worth of chicken nuggets was enough to get the campus cop to travel to the convenience store that gave Grandma the $2 bill, and then head to the bank, where they finally cleared the mystery up. The bill was so old,
1953.
the school's counterfeit pen didn't work.
The cop is finally informed, oh yes, by the way, that's a real bill. That is considered real money. Did they apologize for psychologically traumatizing an 8th grade 13-year-old girl who tried to actually legally pay for her lunch with cash? No, they did give the $2 bill back. But why was the lunch lady's immediate reaction to this to suspect a 13-year-old girl is sitting around at home with a printing press maniacally thinking up ways to forge $2 bills so that she can pull off the heist of the century, which is buying crappy chicken nuggets at a middle school cafeteria? Seriously? At a school, by the way, where 82% of the children get free or reduced lunch. I talked to a bank rep yesterday after reading this story because it made my head want to explode like in Scanners. And she said they don't even do that to adults who bring in counterfeit money. If there's a bake sale or a garage sale or whatever, and someone comes in with a whole bunch of bills and they find a fake 20 in the lot, they'll confiscate it and obviously not deposit in your account. But they don't call the police to charge the person who brought it in with a crime because there's no evidence that an actual crime has been committed. The chain of custody has not been established on where that 20 came from. It could have came from 25 people ago. Who knows where that money came from? The bank will not even do this to adults, but these school districts are doing this to middle school and high school kids, and probably even in elementary school. The thing about this story that's scary, besides the complete ignorance of this lunch lady who apparently is just calling the cops on kids for, it's a $2 for freaking chicken nuggets. I mean, what a horrible person she must be. Just what a horrible human being. Or the fact that you have a police officer who is investigating this crime, 8th grade girls paying for their lunch with legal cash. The scariest part about this is ABC 13 looked into this, into the school's records, and it turns out that these 3 independent school districts in that area, just these 3, they found 40 cases where the school has accused students of felony forgery and called the police on students for showing up to school and having a fake $10 bill. First of all the money in this country is fake. It's just printed out of thin air. It's backed by nothing. It is all monopoly money.
That's
so
right.
it's fake anyway. But on top of that, we're talking about school lunch, okay, in these cases. What they do to these kids is they treat them as criminals while the investigation, I'm doing derisive air quotes, into this fake money investigation is going on. And they put these kids in alternative school, which is basically punishing them. But they also apparently did this at Sci-Fair ISD, at a middle school where a 7th grader is now facing 2 to 10 years in prison because he bought his lunch with what turned out to be a fake $10 bill.
Right on, James.
Put him in handcuffs. They put him in a police car.
How would you, I mean, are we just all sitting around all day checking all the money in our wallet to see if it's real? Do we carry around those little pins and just check everything to see if it's real? This is a kid who has A's and B's. He's in 7th grade, and he's facing up to 10 years in prison now for this, for something the bank won't even do to an adult. But they arrested him, they handcuffed him, put him in a police car, the whole bit. And now he's facing felony charges. So this is what schools are doing these days to kids, which is basically ensuring that you end up with a bunch of criminals. It's like sending your kids to public school in this country is the worst thing you could do.
The worst thing you could ever do.
I didn't even know this was happening, but this is the kind of fake crimes that they're trying to charge little kids with to get them in this school-to-prison pipeline. I mean, is the school getting a kickback for every student they get arrested now? Are they getting something out of that? Is there a new thing that I'm not aware of? They're reaping a benefit from making sure that their students end up in prison?
What do you guys think? So that's another thing, and that's old, but this kind of stuff happens all the time, just another argument for homeschooling your kids. There's just so many misconceptions about homeschooling. I mean, look, guys, most people can work from home now, and if you're a contractor, like, look, for me, I was always going with my dad to work. Even like on holidays, there's no such thing as a holiday in the construction business. I was always going with him. My dad got a job, so you guys know, when my dad came back from Vietnam, he was really tore up. He did 2 tours as a Marine. He was an 0848, and oftentimes, because they lost so many guys, they lost so many forward observers, that he would go out as a secondary, as an FO, as a forward observer. And so he would go out with force reconnaissance guys. He would go out with regular infantry and call in artillery and airstrikes like F-4 Phantoms and whatnot. And he was just messed up. But he was pretty smart, because in 0848, they're the guys who dial in all the formulas on the cannons. Hopefully you guys, give me a bunch of ones if any of you guys were artillery. You guys know what I'm talking about. He was one of the smart guys. I don't know what they call it in the Army, but in the Marine Corps, 0848 is artillery, but it's the guy who does the math on the cannons. So they're really smart. They're real mathematical. So when my dad came back, a lot of his buddies, took their own lives, unalived themselves. So we don't get anybody upset over here at YouTube. Anyways, he got a job as a ditch digger for CBR. Okay, I think it was called CBR Development, and they built all the Winchell's Donuts and Denny's restaurants all over the U.S. And he ultimately, he was married to my mom, I think, for a little less than a year, because he would get up at 4 a.m, bang his chest, and act like a drill instructor, and she couldn't handle it, so she left him. There's a lot going on. I'm not going to get into the whole story, but I was just a little kid. I don't know the whole story either. I'm sure I'll never know it now, because he passed away, and he was tight-lipped, and she's never going to tell me everything, but I know he was a brute. But the bottom line is he ended up going back to like Illinois or something, and he got a job for $2 an hour digging ditches because he never got over my mom. So that's the way he dealt with it. He just dug ditches from sunup to sundown, and they saw that he was a motivated, gung-ho guy, and they promoted him eventually within a very short period of time to be, because of his leadership, right? Because the Marine Corps really teaches you how to lead. And so he ultimately became the developer, the general manager for development of all the Denny's and Winchell's Donuts in the United States. And pretty much every Denny's restaurant you see that was built prior to 1990, my dad built it. mean, he was just flying all over the country. So I would fly out to see him all the time, and he had me there working with him. So that's all I ever was exposed to growing up, is watching my dad deal with subcontractors and problem solve. Because as you guys probably know, especially you, James Forbes, is subcontractors are like very difficult to deal with. You know, especially binge drinkers. They don't show up. They don't show up for work. You got to get them on the phone. You got to threaten them. Hold back on their retention money. If there's no retention money, good luck getting them to come back sometimes. So I learned all that stuff, and that fried my dad's brain. But anyways, that's just to kind of give you a little bit of a story about why homeschooling is a great thing. Now, let me see here. Kinetic Custom says, that's right. I'll dig that ditch as I did Judge Smell's niece. Okay. So that would be the one in Cheyenne. Okay. Let me see here. Remember all these idiots. Mia says, remember all these idiots didn't even graduate high school that you want your kids to be like? Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, the most successful people on the planet out there don't have college degrees. And that's a fact. But they usually hire guys to be like their presidents or lower level managers who do have college degrees. Even me, like I would hire people for managerial positions like administration at my law office who had college degrees, but you know, people with experience, not fresh out of college. The lawyers that I hired who just graduated the bar didn't last more than a few days. The administrative and educational industrial complex has these law students brainwashed into thinking that they have an entitlement mentality. They don't know how to type. They have zero work ethic. At least most of the ones that I ran into didn't know how to do pleadings. I'd rather have a paralegal with 10, 20. So most of my best people were like 50, 60 years old, older than me. I just started hiring people with experience who were older than me. Hey, Miss Constitutional Rights, Merry Christmas, ma'am. Good seeing you. And James Forbes says, that's why I stopped my biz. No one wants to work. Dude, you just nailed it. In fact, we had a pipe burst at our house when I was out of town, because I would have fixed it because I know how to do that. And my wife, the only person to come out was like this 80-year-old plumber, and he had a son with him. And she was like, what are you doing here? He was like, nobody wants to work. I came out of retirement. And in fact, all the local electrical companies and plumbers with these young guys that are running them, all their employees are older guys, like 70, 80 years old. And a lot of them are ex-military, a lot of Marines, former Navy. The young guys don't want to, they don't want to get their hands dirty. They want to play on their phones all day. The millennials, forget it. So that's kind of what we're running into. So somebody said earlier, maybe it was Mias, that maybe my kids could be lawyers. I don't know if that was you, Mias. Maybe you should teach your kids to be lawyers. They can make a lot of money. And I'm thinking, crap, why don't I teach my son how to be a plumber or an electrician and not have to deal with all the brain damage of dealing with these judges, right? You know, who from USC or UCI, one of these guys? Nah. Black robe taskmaster. But at the same time, one of the things that really cemented becoming a lawyer was from having my construction company. The legal nightmare of trying to run a construction business. Oh, if you're not a lawyer, you will get screwed, because most of your clients, especially homeowners, they're going to be a lawyer or a doctor or someone who has a brother or a sister who's a lawyer. And anything they can do to nickel and dime you and not pay you, they're going to do it. I don't care what anybody says. Being a lawyer and knowing the law is almost mandatory if you're going to have a construction company, at least in California. And honestly, I think that knowing the law and meaning to keep it well is something that should be part of the curriculum for everybody. Not just if you want to be a lawyer, but for anybody who wants to be successful. I mean, knowing the law and knowing how to do pleadings, knowing how to handle your own case pro se is super important. That's another reason why I support Lane Myers and Reluctant Prophet. I don't know if you guys follow those guys, but Lane Myers is awesome, man. You know, I wouldn't handle my cases the way he does, but he gets away with it. We all have different ways we handle things. But yeah, people really need to learn the law and know how to protect themselves from the state, because unfortunately, the state is becoming more and more like how it was before the revolution. They're spying on us. They flood our country with people who are hostile to our way of life. And then when those people do harm to the locals, they pass a law to protect us from the problem they created. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree with that. So it's very dangerous what's going on with these politicians. I mean, over 500,000 children, unaccompanied minors, have been smuggled across by non-governmental agencies that your tax dollars have funded. There's people in Guatemala and El Salvador trying to figure out who kidnapped their kids, and there's 500,000 unaccompanied kids that came up here and we don't know where they are. Well, hopefully with the next incoming administration we'll find out what happened, but that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Just weird stuff. It makes me think about Epstein Island, and I just like, what is going on, guys? So weird, so weird. Now, Mias Taro says, okay, Diana Sharp, sui juris, never pro se. Well, sui juris just means original, right? I understand what you're saying, but pro se just means representing yourself. But I got you. I love that. Mias Taro says, even if you disagree with it, yeah, I don't want to say that word. You can unalive people. Don't want to lose my channel. Yes, James Forbes says you have to know your SHIT having a business. That's right, James. You can't just start up a business anymore. You basically have to be a lawyer now. I mean, there's so much government red tape. That's why I always tell you guys, without getting too political, is that we should be electing representatives who delete laws instead of passing more. I think the greatest enemy of the American people right now is the political class, basically forcing us down with so many laws that we're forced to get a job working for someone else and being a slave. And then you can't go and buy a bunch of these. Here, check this out. So you want to be able to stack and get silver and stuff, guys. I mean, look at how cool that is. That's just badass, man. That is just the coolest thing. Scottsdale silver, Jimmy. See? They call this stacking, by the way. For those of you who are joining us late, I was showing off some of my precious metals because I'm so proud of my stacking. Here, check this out. Look at that. Silver Eagles, Jimmy. Right? I think this is, I don't know how much this costs, but I think it's at least $300-400 for this little thing. What's really cool about it is they put them in these little cool containers. Just makes it really fun. Oh, by the way, since we were talking about money a minute ago, who knows Kinetic Customs? I mean, you just don't even want to deal with it because guys like me, they don't like guys like me because Google and YouTube, they're all about the WHO, right, and the World Economic Forum, and I'm a total opposite of that. I want more freedom and less control by billionaires over our lives. So Texas is starting to go to, they may go onto a gold-based or intrinsic value-based currency like what our Constitution requires. And this is this has gold in it. There's real gold in this, and I could use this like to tip someone at a restaurant if I wanted to. And so that's one of the ways that I try to teach the younger generation about precious metals is I'll tip them with pure silver or a small little piece of gold, even a gold nugget or something like this, because that'll pique their interest and they'll want to start learning about precious metals. And once they understand precious metals and they understand how they're getting the crap taxed out of them, that'll win them over to our side of unalienable rights and natural law from our Creator. So I kind of do stuff like that. And we just saw this video about a little kid getting busted at a public school for trying to buy some lunch with a $2 bill because these public school teachers thought that it was counterfeit. Thanks, Westman 78. So Westman 78, I think you're new here, but yeah, so my channel, so I'm a lawyer. I do personal injury law, but I'm a natural law advocate, and I'm really big on self-defense and prepping and homeschooling, homesteading, growing your own food, storing your own rainwater, which I think is illegal now in California. I mean, really illegal to collect rainwater? I mean, give me a break, guys. So I love, adrenochrome, right, Diana Sharp? And you know that it's true, right? When Wikipedia says that it's all conspiracy theory. Anytime Wikipedia, CIA, whatever says it's a conspiracy theory, I automatically believe that it's probably true. So, yeah, Westman 78. Westman, I don't know if you saw this, but well, what's the matter? No, Sinful Toaster, we're all sovereign. Everyone's a sovereign. That's under America, we the people are sovereign. So yeah, we're all sovereign. So here's a bar. It's got a little plastic thing on it. I don't know if you can see that, but there's like I'll just take it off for you. You can see. So that's a silver bar, and this is it's pure silver, 10 troy ounces, 0.999 silver. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm trying to get you to. So yeah, anyways, I'm a big advocate of precious metals, and then these young guys and young girls who are out working on tips, I try to pay them with pieces of silver or little pieces of gold, or maybe even one of these gold backs. Assuming the meal was expensive enough, right? Do it that way, and to try to encourage them to understand precious metals and the difference between fiat currency. Like, hey, that piece of silver I gave you yesterday was worth $200. Today it's worth $220, right? Like, whoa! So it's pretty cool. Well, Diana says U.S. citizens are not sovereign. Well, yeah, U.S. Well, I'm a state citizen, right? And you're only a U.S. citizen for purposes of another purpose, but we can get into that some other time. Let me see here. Yeah, Kinetic Custom says it's illegal to collect rainwater in Arizona. Are you kidding me? I thought that Arizona was a open carry pro-constitution state. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I heard that a bunch of Californians moved there, and I guess the problem with most Californians is they vote for the very same things that they had tried to escape, and they create the same problem wherever they move. It's like, I noticed that, like in Nevada, people with California plates, like the Nevadans hate them because they're thinking automatically this is going to be another blue stater. He's going to come here, vote to take away our guns, tell my son he's got to wear a dress, and they're just terrified because they don't want that in Nevada, and they certainly don't want that in Texas. So Gavin Newsom, he's got people voting for the very same things that he allowed them to create in California. Then they're leaving and voting to do the same thing, I guess, in Arizona. That's too bad. Let me see here. So what's going on here? Kinetic Custom says that's because they're so blind to what's going on, they don't realize they're the problem. Well, no argument from me, buddy. And I don't want to get political. That's my New Year's resolution, is I'm not going to be political, guys. I'm going to try to be more like Steve Leto. Because it's not winning me any friends. Let's put it that way. There's a lot of Marxist Democrats who hate it that I talk about, public school teachers trying to, change the sex of kids and stuff. And, so I'm trying my best not to talk. Okay, so Tiffany Dagley. Oh, right on, Tiffany. Looks like Tiffany's reaching out to me from X today. Merry Christmas, my cherished. Here, I'm going to put this up here. Tiffany's awesome, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe to Tiffany. She said, Merry Christmas, my cherished new connected friends. So glad to have found you. Hope all of you have peace and joy today, always. We are free in Christ Jesus. He's the reason for the season. Right on, Tiffany. You are an awesome woman, and I really appreciate having you on my channel. And then Sinful Toaster says a boy wearing a dress is an Illuminati humiliation ritual. Let me see here. And then Westman 78 says the markup is too high, but they are great to get people interested in precious metals. Yeah, that's true. You're right. James Forbes says be down to earth. Yeah, absolutely. You're right, brother. You're right. Just be down to earth. Yeah, and Kinetic Customs, I think Leto's awesome, man. He's a cool dude. I love it that he's into the car thing. Like, him and I are into a lot of the same things, but I'm a lot more outspoken, and I definitely wear my patriotism on my sleeve. So for that, I probably get punished in the algorithms. But, being a former inactive U.S. Marine, what do you expect, right? Thanks, Diana. Diana says, just be genuine as you are. And then, what's the matter? You thinks that I hate Dems? No, I really don't. I'm a recovering Democrat. I used to vote Democrat when Democrats would pledge allegiance to the flag and didn't burn flags. It's just that the Democratic Party left me. The modern Democrat Party, in my opinion, is the party of Marxism and an anti-parent party where they believe the state should raise your children, and I just disagree with that. I think it's very irresponsible. It's very anti-American. So, yeah. Joseph Doe says Leto tries to keep his political opinions to himself, but he seems to lean libertarian. Me too. Yeah, I am a libertarian, but I am going to, I'm going to make it a point, Joseph, and I want you guys as my friends to convict me if I start getting political, because honestly, I want to be able to win people over to freedom and liberty. And I think that if people are entrenched in a certain political point of view, if you call them out, it may, what do they call that? Oh man, there's a word for it. They'll basically short circuit because they know in their heart what they're doing is wrong, but they've been brainwashed all their lives and told by their school teacher and their college professor and all their campus crusader friends that that what they're doing is right. And when you hit them in the face with truth, I think they call it plausible denial. No, not plausible denial. I'll remember. But anyways, I don't want to get too far into that, guys. Yes, Westman, right on. Westman says libertarian constitutionalist. I would say that would be a good way to describe me if you were going to describe me. I'm just pro-America. I'm a natural law advocate. That would be the best way to describe me. I believe, like our founding fathers did, that all of our rights were granted to us by our Creator, which is what it says in the Declaration of Independence. And I believe that the liberal courts, liberal justices have created a system where they're trying to convince us that our rights come from the state, because just like Karl Marx wanted, and I just disagree with that. And as far as nobility goes, oh, well, we can talk about that another time, but Sacramento Linny, I would say that we are very much on the same page there, and I've done videos about this. And then Kurt Decker, I don't know about president-elect should pardon the guy. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think that if the government hadn't gotten involved in the healthcare business to begin with, I wouldn't have to be going to Tijuana to get medical care. My insurance rates are about 500% higher than they were before Obama got involved in the insurance system. Sure, illegal aliens get it for free, but the people who have to pay for it don't. And most of my friends, their insurance rates went through the roof to where we had to get the crappy insurance before we had PPO and the good stuff. So you really hurt the insurance. Anytime you get the government involved with anything, it just ruins it. And then Mias Taro says, if someone stalked you on YouTube, would you sue them? I just block them, probably. But the difference between me and most of these guys is that I return fire. So, we all have our time, but I'm somebody who's more than prepared to take and receive fire. I have absolutely no fear, and I'm ready to go at any time, lock, stock, and barrel. Let me see here. Kinetic Custom says, I'm sick and tired of anybody taking advantage of anybody else, whether it's our government, corporate business, or private individual. I agree with that, buddy. That's why I say less government means more freedom. Tiffany Dagley says, or like Bobby RFK Jr., former Dem. Hey, look, I'm all about RFK, especially his stance on pharma. I mean, give me a break. I mean, come on. We have this revolving door employment where you're like the CEO of a big pharmaceutical company, and then your political buddies place you in charge of like the CDC or the FDA. And you really think that that's like going to be fair? Like people who are actually like in charge of administering, approving a drug, for example, are the same people who work for that company. It's no different than the Cheney family with the Iraq War, right? Like Halliburton. I mean, give me a break. No bid contracts for for military. And then they don't even find any weapons of mass destruction. I mean, come on, guys. It's just too damn political. Gloria! Merry Christmas, Gloria! Everybody, say hi to Gloria Ad. Really good friend of mine, really good person, good people, Gloria. Merry Christmas to you, and I like that you're using the word Christmas instead of Happy Holidays. I hate that political correctness. Gloria, we were talking a little while ago about precious metals, and I was showing off some of my silver bars. Check them out. And is that cool or what? I'm encouraging people to at least buy some gold and silver, you know. And here, Gloria, I really like Gloria, guys, so just bear with me. I want to show her some of my gold too. So the difference is like this. So Gloria, this thing right here I think is like $300 or $400 or $500 of silver in this thing. And then this gold piece is worth, I think, I don't know, $3,000. Somebody tell me in the sidebar how much in the chat, how much a U.S. Gold Eagle 1 ounce of gold is going for right now, market value. So this is U.S. gold, and then this is a Krugerrand. This is the South African gold, and this is from 1978. See that, Gloria? Is that cool or what? Somebody let me know so Gloria can know. Like that's worth. So that's worth, I think, $3,000. Somebody tell me. So, and that's why people, you know, gold is easier to carry and trade with because it doesn't weigh as much. So, yeah, here, Gloria, hold on a minute. I got to show you this, Gloria. But Joseph Doe, when I die, I will be guarding the streets of heaven, absolutely, with all my other Marine brothers, and hopefully with my father. From the halls of Montezuma. So check this out, Gloria. So that's silver. And this weighs, I don't know, about a pound right here. And I think one of these things is going to run about, I don't know, $200, $300, or $400 right there. Whereas that silver eagle coin that I showed you, and these are silver eagles, runs you, I think, around $3,000. Let me look down here and see if anybody's got the number. Yeah, about $1,800 to $2,000. Okay, 26.29. I think that's about right. Kinetic. 27.40. Yeah, all of that right there is about right. Yeah, right on, Gloria. I recommend you get some gold and silver. It's really cool. Spot price for an ounce of gold is $26.32. Yeah, that's spot price, but you want to get it like where it's minted by a reputable mint. Like these U.S. coins are much easier to trade and sell because they're real gold. They're guaranteed. That's real gold, right? It's much more difficult to sell just regular gold. And then, yeah, I don't know what this commie over here, Horseshoe, is talking about, but yeah, Streets of Gold. That's right, Streets of Gold. No, I didn't get it for Christmas. I was just, somebody mentioned when we started the show earlier that they were talking about how gold and silver values have gone up so high. And I was like, yeah, well, let me show you some stuff, guys. It's pretty cool. Now, yeah, I save it. It's just like a hobby. And they say it's a hedge against inflation. The problem that I have, like, for example, if I was to try to sell these silver bars, right, I would have to take them to a gold dealer unless I have somebody here who wants to buy my silver bars, right? And if I take it to a silver dealer, they're going to want to buy it below market. So the only way it's really going to be of value to you is if you buy and hold, right? So if you had gold that you bought 20 years ago, you wouldn't mind selling it to the dealer for a little bit below market, right? Because you're going to make thousands of dollars off of it, right? Because you bought it a long time ago. But so if you buy today, you got to sit on it for a while before. But for me, it's like for my kids, they're going to have stuff that's going to be worth a lot of money. Plus, it's just fun to play and tinker with. It's just the coolest. Yeah. And now here's another thing, Gloria, because the next video that I'm going to share with you guys, it's about Texas and Florida potentially going back onto a metals-backed intrinsic extremely valuable currency. This is a gold note. I think this is, I don't know that this is worth $100, but there is gold in this. And, you know, it's just kind of fun. This would be how they would look in Texas, the new ones that they're gonna create. So let me see here. Yeah, hold on to it. You know, just like real estate, buy and hold, buy and hold. It's a long-term investment. So John Doe says, for the bars, you may get 2 under spot or 1 if lucky. Yeah. Now, John Doe, can you tell us what under spot means? Can you type that in there? What under spot means for people? Because a lot of people don't know what that's all about. And then I also wanted to talk about, you know, Bitcoin too, guys. I went online to buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin today, and it was going to give me like 0.0099 whatever. It's like, wow, you can't even get a full Bitcoin for $1,000. I was like, what the hell? So let me see here. Westman says, you think a Marine isn't armed and already? Well, hold on. Life Under. Well, Life Under's my buddy, so I think he knows that. I think Life Under knows that I have more than enough. I have more than enough brass. I have these brass eagles too. But yeah, I've got plenty of those, and I'm not really worried about it. If somebody wants to come for what I've got, they're gonna be see-through creations. Yeah, brass is worth its weight in gold. Also, if there was a natural disaster, having plenty of ammo and stuff to trade with is a big deal. So I recommend you stock up on as much ammo as you can get, because that's going to be super valuable. And for those of you people who live at the beach, here's a big problem, because when I lived at the beach, you're going to have a lot of misfires. So if you're going to buy ammo at the beach, make sure you keep it in a gun safe with one of those dehumidifier rods, because just the water and the air will get into those seals around the ammo, and it'll definitely cause trouble for you. So it's a big deal. Now, I wouldn't waste my time with reloading, to be honest. And also, the prosecutors could say that you tried to build some special dangerous ammo to try to use that to get a conviction if you used it in self-defense. So that could be a problem. Now, let me see here. Brian from Here's the Deal called lead a precious metal. Well, it is. You know, Obama got rid of our last lead production plants in the United States, so we don't even have the ability to make ammo in the U.S. anymore. There's no more lead production. So, I mean, you know, the deep state is doing everything they can to disarm us, so be very, very careful, guys. Okay, so we just did a video a minute ago about what's going on over in the public school system, where they tried to arrest that little kid for having a $2 bill and trying to buy lunch with a $2 bill. Yeah, Joseph, look it up, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about that one. So let's get into the next one. This is a really cool video. By the way, Merry Christmas, everybody, and I'm assuming that all you people who are joining me today aren't with your families. Now, I'm lucky I've got my daughter in the other room, but she's all about chatting with her friends on the computer, and I really wanted to go live to be with people who don't have their families with them, to show them that there are other people out there just like you who care about you. And yeah, I like Brian too, James. So let's do this next video and learn a little bit about what's going to maybe happen in Texas. Another good reason to move to Texas. Let's get into it.
Okay, Rod, you told us what the Constitution says about a state issuing legal tender if it's backed by gold and silver. But practically, isn't the federal government, didn't they give all this power to the Federal Reserve? Is this even possible? Won't the courts rule, no, you can't do that anymore?
The federal government cannot give an enumerated power away. This is an enumerated power of the states. The federal government doesn't have any power over that at all. It could of course, seek to amend the Constitution, but good luck with that. So, yeah, every state has the power to do this.
Okay, they have the power to produce gold and silver coins, but what you're talking about are receipts.
Yeah,
Basically
paper receipts.
Or digital receipts.
Digital receipts.
But it's a receipt, not an actual coin. So are you sure that power is conveyed to the states?
And bear in mind, when we're using the term receipt, we would say the same thing about a dollar bill prior to the closing of the gold window by Richard Nixon. You know, it used to be that a dollar was a receipt for a dollar's worth of gold, and you could exchange it to the Treasury and get back that much gold. The government stole from you by closing the gold window, by making that impossible. But that is a...
Is that better with the echo? Somebody said there's an echo. Westman, I just turned a button that says get rid of the echo effect. Tell me if it's still there.
Debt instrument for a certain quantity of gold historically.
Right.
This would be the exact same thing. And to answer your question, no, this actually works fine because we actually have a Supreme Court case. This is settled law. In 1837, the United States Supreme Court ruled that this sort of receipt, which is to say a dollar bill backed 100% by gold, issued by a state chartered bank in Kentucky, the case is Briscoe versus Bank of Kentucky, was absolutely equivalent to a gold coin in the same amount. So no, there is no question this is settled law in the United States. A state or a state bank, you know, assuming the state allows that, and
like I
wouldn't encourage Texas to have state chartered banks issuing currency. I would encourage the state of Texas to do this, but the state may issue paper money, or in this case, digital money, which is way better, that is in effect a receipt for a physical quantity of gold. So if I buy you a coffee down at Starbucks and I pay for it with my credit card, Starbucks may not take Texans, but it takes dollars. Credit card company just does the transaction, converts the currency immediately
just
in
like
the same
I was
way.
in Europe using my credit card.
Exactly. The exact same thing as if I have dollars and I'm paying American Express in dollars, but I pay in London. The Starbucks there gets pounds. I am paying American Express in dollars. It's completely transparent to the end user.
Well, now, all right, so it's legal, it can be done, but why would we need such a thing? Isn't this a solution in search of a problem? Because my dollars seem to work pretty well.
Well, it's the same problem that's being solved by cryptocurrencies in general. Now, a lot of people are involved in crypto because they want the appreciation of the asset. They're hoping Bitcoin goes to 250,000 or $1 million or whatever, and
it might do that.
It very well might do that.
But it could go the other direction too.
It's having a bad week, but you know, but things go up and down. I'm not overly concerned about that. But the fact is that Bitcoin is backed by literally nothing. And there are people who would like some alternative to the dollar that is electronic in form, that's more solid. And the truth is, over time, there's nothing more solid than gold. That's just reality. The rate of growth of the supply of gold is remarkably stable over time. Its value in terms of specific goods and services is remarkably stable over time. The fact that gold is now $1,800, $1,850, whatever it is this morning on the spot market versus the $400 or so it was when we went off the gold standard in 71 is...
Oh, it's even lower than that. It's like 35.
Yeah. I mean, well, of course, the official price. But by the end of the year...
82, I think.
By the end of the year, it jumped up. There was a significant mismatch in the official price and the ultimate price. But it doesn't change.
This was 2 years ago. Now it's up to like 2,500 or something, right, guys? So we can see gold is definitely going up pretty damn fast. I think it's more valuable than my Google stock. When I originally invested in Google, I think I spent 14 grand, and now I think it's up to like that same amount went up to like 300,000. But I think gold, actually, if I would have bought the gold instead, it'll be worth more.
Change the fact that you're still able to buy the same stuff with the same amount of gold. I mean, it's amazing how remarkably constant that has been.
That's crazy, wasn't it? So a lot of you guys may not know this, but I'm buddies with Mike over at the 10th Amendment Center. I'm a big time supporter of his channel, and so I wanted to share with you a really cool video to give you some. I'm sure you guys are tired of listening to me talk, anyways. Give you a little bit of a historical perspective about what an amazing country we live in and what our founding fathers were all about. But before I do that, let's take a look. Kinetic Custom says, my last semester at college, I took $1,500 to my tuition money and bought 347,000 shares of marijuana stock at less than a half a penny a share. I didn't know you could do that. But that's probably enough to retire off of. I left it in for the long haul, and now I'm a millionaire. If it hits, I'm a millionaire. Yeah. Well, I know the problem with marijuana is that it's illegal federally. So until it gets legalized, people are getting debanked and stuff like that. Just like gun stores are getting debanked. That all started under Obama. Like it's like the secret way to destroy your political enemies is to debank them. I could show you some videos about that. But yeah, it's really too bad these politicians and their banker friends, how they've really tried to make life hard for people that disagree with their politics. It's pretty un-American. But let's take a look at what Mike's got to say over at 10th Amendment Center. I think you guys are going to love this.
To these grievous measures, Americans cannot submit. That was the bold declaration in late 1774 that helped spark colonial resistance, a coordinated one really for the first time. And on this episode, commemorating the 250th anniversary of passage of the Declaration and Resolves of the First Continental Congress, we're going to dive into what turned out to be not only a precursor to the Declaration of Independence, but also the Bill of Rights years later, too, and also the essential revolutionary principle that acts beyond the Constitution are usurpations of power and void and should be rejected, resisted, and nullified where they belong into oblivion. On this episode, I've got a little bit of essential background on this. There's also some influence from Thomas Jefferson in Virginia, Dr. Joseph Warren in Massachusetts. I'll have highlights from the Declaration itself and maybe a little bit more. But first of all, welcome and thank you for joining me here on the path to liberty. My name is Michael Bolden with the 10th Amendment Center, and this is the show for Monday, October 14th, 2024. And let's kick it off here with the first line from the Declaration and Resolves of the First Continental Congress, passed today in history, October 14th, 1774. And they start with this. Whereas since the close of the last war, this is talking about the 7 Years' War, the French and Indian War that ended in 1763, the British Parliament claiming a power of right to bind the people of America by statute in all cases whatsoever, hath in some acts expressly imposed taxes on them, and in others under various pretenses, but in fact for the purpose of raising a revenue, hath imposed rates and duties payable in these colonies, established a board of commissioners with unconstitutional powers, and extended the jurisdiction of courts of admiralty, not only for collecting the said duties, but for the trial of causes merely arising within the body of a county. They go on and on and on. This is in reference, in case you're not familiar with it, if you're new here, maybe you've never heard of this, but the Declaratory Act of 1766, which was passed as kind of a backhanded compliment when the colonists resisted the Stamp Act in 1765. They made it basically unenforceable in many, many places. And so when the British Parliament decided to repeal it, at the same time, they passed this thing called the Declaratory Act, which claimed power over the colonies in all cases whatsoever. And so many times we hear people say that the revolution was only about taxation without representation or standing armies or regulations or maybe duties, etc., internal revenue raising claims. But really, those were all outgrowths of this claim of British power in all cases whatsoever. Going further, they had this Declaration of 10 Rights, kind of a precursor, like I said, to the Bill of Rights, which included life, liberty, and property, the right to peaceably assemble, and a bunch more that I'm going to cover a little bit later in the episode. It also had a list of grievances, which is like a precursor to the Declaration of Independence, which included depriving Americans of the right to trial by jury, establishing standing armies. And it especially took issue with the coercive acts, what many people today call the intolerable acts. This was a series of acts passed, I think it was from March through around June of 1774 by the British Parliament, primarily to punish the people of Massachusetts, but also to establish authority to make sure no one else got out of hand than just the people in Boston. This was to punish them for the Tea Party in late 1773. And here they reference specifically the first of the coercive acts. They say in the last session of Parliament, 3 statutes were made. One entitled An Act to Discontinue in such manner and for such time as are therein mentioned the landing and discharging, lading or shipping of goods, wares, and merchandise at the town and within the harbor of Boston in the province of Massachusetts Bay in North America. And that, of course, is a reference to the Boston Port Act. And here from history.com, they point out that on March 31st, 1774, that's when Britain passed the Port Act. It closed the port of Boston and demanded that the city's residents pay for the nearly $1 million worth in, well, today's money. It's probably much more since this was written, because we know they keep depreciating the currency or the fiat funny money so quickly. So they wanted them to not only, it was a collective punishment. Basically, these people we saw did something wrong, and therefore we're going to shut down the entire port until the whole city forces people to cough things up. You can't be more, I guess, pre-commie, but commie than that. So $1 million worth of tea dumped in the harbor during the Boston Tea Party of December 16, 1773. And here from George Washington's Mount Vernon estate, they point out that King George III gave the act a royal assent on May 20th. So it was passed on March 31st. The act authorized the Royal Navy to blockade Boston Harbor because, quote, the commerce of His Majesty's subjects cannot be safely carried on there. The blockade commenced on June 1st, 1774, effectively closing Boston's port to commercial traffic. It was pretty crippling, and that was just no joke. And of course, you have this really powerful imperial navy enforcing it as well. Additionally, they write, it forbade any exports to foreign ports or provinces. The only imports allowed were provisions for the British Army. So basically, rules for you, but not for us. We're going to close this down, but we're going to continue doing what we do. And that's what they do during all government shutdowns these days as well. They shut down a few things, but the surveillance state never stops. The gun control, the empire, none of that ever seems to stop. Anyway, so they shut down all imports except unless it was for the government and necessary goods such as fuel and wheat. So they had kind of a list of emergency items, what we saw during shutdown here as well. Now, news of the port bill reached Boston or the colonies really around May 10th or 11th of 1774, even before the king gave it royal assent, but it was going to happen. It was passed. And Joseph Warren, Patriot Dr. Joseph Warren, was named to a town meeting committee to basically recommend a responsive action from the people of Boston, and maybe should they recommend other people take action as well. Samuel Adams was named as the moderator, and they passed this resolution in a Boston town meeting on May 13th, 1774, voted that it is the opinion of this town that if the other colonies come into a joint resolution to stop all importation from Great Britain and exportations to Great Britain and every part of the West Indies till the act for blocking up this harbor be repealed, the same will prove the salvation of North America and her liberties. The viewpoint from the old revolutionaries, again, an act against the Constitution is void. And it doesn't just get void by saying so. As Samuel Adams put it just a few years earlier in 1771, all might be free if they valued freedom and defended it as they ought. So when government goes beyond its limits, you have to recognize that, first of all, government is going beyond its limits, and then you have to do stuff to defend it. And just sitting there, standing there, doing nothing, complying, allowing government to do what it does, and then begging government to stop doing what it shouldn't have been doing in the first place is not defending freedom as it ought. I don't know how else to put that, but that's as straightforward as possible. So they're saying, like, look, if they're going to do this, we have to economically cripple them because they are very rich because of the trade here in the colonies. Anyways, they go further. On the other hand, if they continue their exports and imports, there is high reason to fear that fraud, power, and the most odious oppression will rise triumphant over right, justice, social happiness, and freedom. That's primarily drafted by Dr. Joseph Warren, Samuel Adams, and others involved as well. So the very following day, we all hear of Paul Revere's ride in 1774, but Paul Revere made a bunch of very important rides around New England and elsewhere. We've got two of them on this episode. So the very next day, I think, so this would have been May 14th, they dispatched Paul Revere to take the resolution to a number of committees of correspondence as far as he could get. We know that it got to the New York Committee of Correspondence pretty quickly because they responded as well. And this is how they put it. This is May 23rd, 1774. As a sister colony suffering in defense of the rights of America, we consider your injuries as a common cause to the redress of which it is equally our duty and our interest to contribute. So they referred to these as alarming measures. Again, this is still only in reference to the Boston Port Bill. They added a few more of these so-called intolerable or coercive acts in the meantime. It took a while. You couldn't text it to somebody. Hey, check out.
I mean, just imagine, things that they consider to be intolerable are being passed every single day in our Congress. And thanks to, in large part, to our public education system, people are just bending over and taking it. Unbelievable stuff going on. But back then it was a lot different, guys. And if we homeschool and homestead, grow our own foods and get off of this administrative industrial complex, start taking back our rights, we may get back to that same mindset of our founders.
This new PDF of this legislation that they're considering in Parliament. No, it took quite some time. They passed it on, in March 25th or March 31st, and then it didn't get to the colonies until the 10th or 11th of May, and then they immediately, you could see how quickly they went to action on this. It was just the communication time that slowed things down a bit. So New York, the Committee of Correspondence, they send this back to the Committee of Correspondence in Boston. They say, we conclude that a Congress of Deputies from the colonies in general is of the utmost moment that it ought to be assembled without delay, and some unanimous resolutions formed in this fatal emergency, not only respecting your deplorable circumstances, but for the security of our common rights. So Boston is saying, we think we need to have an immediate non-importation, non-exportation. We need to do an economic boycott of Britain and the West Indies. New York said,
Yeah, because New York, they have their own interests, but you get the idea. I keep telling you guys, if we develop our own parallel systems where we're buying and trading amongst each other, growing our own food, we don't need to participate in their economy that they've created that works against us. And we can take back our rights amongst each other the same way that Martin Luther King did. Martin Luther King, when people treated his people the wrong way, he boycotted their shops. No reason why you should be shopping at places like Target, where they have advertisements of little boys dressed like girls, et cetera, if you disagree with that. You're supporting a system that doesn't support you and your family values. Why would you do that? Let's keep going.
We like the idea, but we're not going to take action on this immediately. But what we should do is have a Congress. We should all meet together and see if we can come to some kind of unanimous decision. And so New York started sending this, the Committee of Correspondence started sending their view out, saying, let's have a Congress to a bunch of other people. One of the members of that Committee of 51 in that Committee of Correspondence was John Jay, who later became the first Chief Justice. And he put it like this in a letter to John Vardill. He said, I returned from the northern counties yesterday and found myself one of the committee appointed by the city to take into consideration the measures of Parliament relative to Boston and consult upon the most effectual methods to advance the interest of the common cause. We sat 4 hours, I don't know what P-Day is, and have agreed to attempt a Congress of Deputies from all the colonies. This is calling the First Continental Congress. There was a Stamp Act Congress that was only attended by 9 of the colonies, but I think some of the people discussing this, at least from the way I've read it, they saw that as an effective measure, and they're like, let's try that again, but let's go a little bit bigger, see if we can get them all together and get unanimous action in response to these so-called coercive acts. So we have agreed to attempt a Congress of Deputies from all the colonies as the most probable means of effecting a general union and consistency of councils, 4 of which number I am one, are appointed to prepare dispatches for Boston. And so by July of 1774, 12 of the colonies were on board and picking delegates to what they were calling a Grand Continental Congress to meet starting, ended up picking a date of September 5th at Carpenter's Hall in Philadelphia.
Hey, by the way, guys, that brings back a pretty cool memory. I don't know if you remember, you Californians, but Knott's Berry Farm has their own version of Independence Hall. And so when I was a kid, my parents initially had me in private school, thank God. And we did a field day trip to Independence Hall at Knott's Berry Farm. We got to see the Liberty Bell, and they showed us the handmade bricks with the thumb and fingerprints in them. Did any of you guys have any of you guys ever been to Philadelphia or Independence Hall, or have any of you ever been to Knott's Berry Farm and seen it at Independence Hall? It's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know, like when I grew up, it was a really big deal, like to learn about our founding fathers and our amazing history. They taught us about the powder houses that the king tried to seize our gunpowder, and that's what sparked the American Revolution. And now you have the school teachers telling, "Oh my God, you have a gun! Oh, they need to be illegal! Oh my God!" It's like, do these people like have any sense of history? Like, once the people are disarmed, how will you be able to defend yourselves? How will you be able to defend your families against the very people that these politicians are flooding your country with, right? Like criminals from being released in mass from prisons all across South and Central America, Russians and Chinese coming across that are military-age males, countries that we're basically at war with, economically at least, and in fact physically in Russia, and they want to take away your ability to defend yourself too, to tell you how many rounds you can have in your magazine. I mean, if that would have happened during the revolution, well, it wouldn't have happened. There would have been there was a revolution. Oh my God. What am I talking about? There was a revolution. That's cool. Dan Lofat says, I took a trip as a kid to Washington, D.C., West Virginia, and then Philadelphia. Yeah. Westman, I wouldn't spend any money now at any of these amusement parks because they're like anti-parent, especially Disneyland. We got rid of all of our Disney stocks, and we're encouraging all of our friends and family members don't have anything to do with Disney or Disney World. Anti-parent, anti-child, pro-sexualization of children. Just don't even go anywhere near there if you love your kids. But yeah, Knott's Berry Farm, man, those were the days. That's when they actually had their guns that shot blanks. They had the stagecoach robbers, and I brought my cap guns with me and faced off, and I had the whole thing with the whatever they call it, bandana across my face and the cowboy uniform. And I remember I would go there to Knott's Berry Farm with my mom, had the cap guns, cross holsters, like really cool. And I would shoot back at the stagecoach guys. You do that now in California. I mean, you'd have like a SWAT team show up and try to arrest your kids for contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I mean, they've emasculated little boys. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree that the government has emasculated little boys. Did you know that the average male today has 30 to 40% less testosterone than his grandfather had? And that atrazine and all these chemicals that they spray our food with
is causing all these chemical problems with children and especially little boys. You look at young men; they're so effeminate compared to like how they were when we grew up, right, guys? I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Like young men are so much more feminine and like they've lost that gusto, that edge. And it's funny because so many women, young girls especially, they're looking for that male leadership, that strength, that strong man. And they get stuck with these duds, I kind of feel bad for them. Now, Life Under says if they start eating meat, that they'll get that testosterone back. Yeah, James Forbes says punks. Let's get. Do you guys want me to keep playing 10th Amendment Center? Give me a bunch of ones if you want me to keep doing 10th Amendment Center. If not, I've got some pretty cool Copwatch videos. I haven't played some Copwatch videos in a while, but I got some cop pranks and some other ones. So give me a bunch of ones for more 10th Amendment Centers video and a bunch of twos for some Copwatch and cop prank videos because I'm down to do whatever keeping you guys happy. All right, looks like so far the ones are winning. So, okay. Looks like we're going to do not chicken, though. Right, Diana Sharp says not chicken. I think I don't think that chicken technically is meat. I think it's called poultry, if I'm not mistaken. But I think Life Under can get us correct on that one. All right, let's get in with this video.
Georgia did not send delegates. I've seen conflicting reasons as to why, but we'll save that for something else. And it really was not something easy to get to, especially at that time of year. And especially with the transportation technology of the time. I think George Washington took like 5 days to get to Philadelphia from where he was. John Adams and the Massachusetts delegation, it normally would have taken 10 or 11, but they took like 19 or 20 days. They made it kind of a trip and a tour. I guess that kind of fits John Adams's approach. And in the meantime, there was all kinds of conversation going on. And I think some really interesting stuff that maybe is very relevant for us today on what should be discussed in the Congress. What kind of strategies they should take. Here's a letter from a very important, but almost completely ignored, even on this show until today, important revolutionary mind, a leader of the Sons of Liberty in Boston. Joseph Hawley sent this to John Adams. He said, "It appears to me, sir, that the Congress ought first to settle with absolute precision the object or objects to be pursued, as whether the end of all shall be the repeal of the tea duty only, or that and the molasses duty, or them and opening the port of Boston, or them and also the restoration of the Charter of Massachusetts Bay." So now we're getting to the Massachusetts Government Act where they were shutting down the legislature in Massachusetts. That's one of the coercive acts, the intolerable acts. And he's saying, like, look, are we just going to address the Tea Act, or do we need to look at these other things? Molasses, Sugar Act, open the port, stop everything. He said, you are pleased to say, and John Adams had written to him, like, well, we don't want to get too extreme. We often think of John Adams as the hothead, the guy who was really pushing for independence before many others. But before him, it was Abigail Adams, his wife, who was pushing him. Hey, there's a lot of talk here, but no action. On people like Joseph Hawley, who was really saying, we got to move forward.
Isn't that cool? Back then, the women were more manly than their men as far as pushing them towards more freedom and independence. Abigail Adams, they just don't teach any of this stuff in our schools. They teach unconditional obedience to the state, unfortunately. It's just really, really sad. You don't see free thinkers or critical thinkers, really. And I blame the public schools. I blame the teachers' unions. Absolutely. I blame them 1,000%.
Forward. I've got a juicy one from him that Adam shared with Patrick Henry here in just a moment as well. He said, you are pleased to say that extremities and ruptures, it is our policy to avoid. So he's just saying, so John Adams had written to Hawley and said, we got to make sure that this doesn't get too crazy at this point.
Hey, Dr. Donna,
he said, I agree if any other means will answer our ends, or if it is plain that they would not. So Hawley's saying, like, we don't want to have an extremity or a rupture. Basically, are we going to fight or not? He said, I would like to avoid it if we can get the results we need without fighting, or if fighting would be a bad choice strategically. So he was only talking about battling the British in terms of whether or not it would be effective, not right or wrong, kind of a blanket moral approach. He said, but let me say, sir, that with me, it is settled as a maxim and first truth that the people or state who will not or cannot defend their liberties and rights will not have any for any long time. They will be slaves. Some other state will find it out and will subjugate them. Use it or lose it. That's the mentality on liberty that someone like Joseph Hawley, I would say Samuel Adams, Dr. Joseph Warren, of course, Patrick Henry, Thomas Jefferson, and many others would have taken at the time that so few people take today. It's like, oh, I don't want to stick my neck out. Thomas Jefferson once said, timid men prefer the calm of despotism to the tempestuous.
Chevy, that was super kind of you. I'm gonna buy my daughter a Christmas present for that. Chevy just gave me a super chat for $50. Chevy's always supporting my channel. I want everybody to go and like and subscribe to Chevy. Super, super good guy. I never came on YouTube to make money, but it just tickles me every time somebody donates money or buys one of my books, because it's a lot of work, man. I mean, doing a 5-hour show on Christmas is it's a lot of work. But I really appreciate you guys. I actually, everybody on my channel, especially the guys like BZ and James Forbes, I mean, all you guys with wrenches, I mean, I consider you guys to be family. You guys are, I'm here for you, in any way that I can be, within reason, of course, because I'm pretty burned out. But man, that really means a lot to me. Thank you, Chevy, for supporting my channel. And now I can show my daughter, because I'm teaching her how to be an entrepreneur. Like, look, start your own YouTube channel. And sometimes people will donate money. And now I'm going to use this $50 to go and buy you a Christmas present. What do you think about that, honey? See, that's how you do it. You teach your kids by example. So thank you, Chevy. That was a teachable moment for Annika today. And good seeing you, BZ. I see you popping in every now and then. And Westman says I'm on fire today. Well, I appreciate you saying that. I'm just looking out for my friends. Because thank you, Diana. We got a new subscriber, guys, Diana Sharp. So Diana, if you stick around for a while and you become part of Team MPE, we'll definitely get you your wrench. And that wrench basically is like you earning your PFC chevron, like if you're a Marine, right? It shows that you've got a little bit of rank, and it shows the other members not to time you out. Because my mods don't time each other out. That's one of our rules that we have. James, BZ is BZ Watchdog. He's my Marine Corps brother. And then AME Animal Rescue says, fighting the Walton County Sheriff's Department, Florida, against using deadly force against our pets. AME, do me a favor, reach out, buddy. Go to circleoflegaltrust@yahoo.com. Shoot me an email. Let me have you on as a guest. Even though I'm not a Florida lawyer, I'll have you on as a guest, and I'll try to find you some pro bono counsel in Florida. I know a lot of lawyers in Florida because I'm a cruise ship lawyer. And so I have a lot of friends who do cruise ship law in Florida. I helped write portions of the Cruise Ship Safety Act, and I've lobbied Congress multiple times. So because a lot, Carnival comes in through Florida ports, I have a whole plethora of lawyers, and I refer them cases. Cruise ship cases, because I can only handle the Princess cruise ship cases in California. So the Carnival cases I refer out to Florida attorneys. And as a result, if you want to reach out to me, brother, or sister, I'm not sure who you are, but I will try and help you find a local attorney. And one of the ways we can do that is to do a show and sort of cover what's going on. Because I'm all about taking care of the pets, and BZ knows what I'm talking about. Like when I heard BZ got arrested, the first thing I was asking about is, where's this dog? Because I get it. I used to raise and train Rottweilers. I love Rotties. And in fact, that's because of my experience raising animals and understanding genetics, that helped me select a good wife. I knew based upon my wife's demeanor and personality that she was going to be the perfect mother for my kids. That's another thing about homeschooling and homesteading and having a family farm, is your kids get to understand genetics and raising animals and seeing the connection between genetics,
firstborn, secondborn, right? Pick of the litter. Humans are no different when it comes to their personalities. There is such a striking, give me a bunch of ones for you guys who have reared animals. Striking similarities between rearing animals and rearing children, and genetics between the mother and the father, and the personalities and demeanor of your kids. Guys, I'm telling you, it's true. It is true. It's something you guys should all think about. You should be making sure, like dogs, cows, cats, they all have the demeanors and personalities that are very, very similar to their parents. And the firstborn usually gets that John Wayne one from the dad. That's what I've experienced. But yeah, I definitely am all about animals, and dogs are our partners and friends for thousands of years. You know, the Rottweilers helped protect the Roman legions from wild lions. Yep. There's a town in Germany called Rottweil, which means red tile. That's where the name comes from, because there were so many of these drover dogs that were what we call Rottweilers today. Amazing animals, amazing animals. Let me get back into this video.
This sea of liberty, that's just off the top of my head, so I may have misquoted it, but basically, it's the timid people who don't want to take a stand because they're afraid of what the results are. That doesn't mean you have to be, again, we have smart strategy here. Some people want to get into a big shoot 'em up right off the bat. And he's even saying, here's Joseph Hawley, one here in July of 1774, supposedly well before anybody's really talking about a war for independence, fighting back against the British. He's saying, like, look, we should consider this, but we have to think about it strategically. We don't want to just be dumb and charge into something and then lose, because we have a goal to achieve, and that is protecting and defending our liberty against the largest government in the history of the world, which is what we're facing once again. Then we also have Thomas Jefferson. So Joseph Hawley had some influence here. Thomas Jefferson, in July, he was drafting a set of proposed instructions for the Virginia delegates to the First Continental Congress. He not only included, I covered this in another episode, I'll get to that in a moment. He not only had this long, detailed set of grievances, and I mentioned in that other episode that this is kind of one of the main reasons why he was chosen as a lead guy for drafting the Declaration of Independence, because he had already written a precursor to it. So he wrote this thing, a long, detailed list of grievances, usurpations of power by both Parliament and the king, but he also included this juicy piece. He said, "We do not point out to his majesty the injustice of these acts with intent to rest on that principle the cause of their nullity." So we're saying these things are null and void, but we're not saying they're null and void because they're bad policy. Instead, we're saying they're null and void because you have no authority to do this stuff in the first place, whether it's good policy or not. And Jefferson goes on, probably better flair than I have. He said, but instead, to show that experience confirms the propriety of those political principles which exempt us from the jurisdiction of the British Parliament. So, much stronger than John Adams up in Massachusetts, Thomas Jefferson took the position that Parliament had no...
Wait a minute. Did somebody block Jerome? I mean, I haven't blocked you, brother. So Jerome says, dang, I must have done something wrong to Michael. I'm blocked or ignored. Not on my end, man. I haven't seen you make any comments or done anything that was wrong that would cause anyone to block you. In fact, if you keep sticking around and coming around to my shows, brother, pretty soon you'll have a wrench too, and you'll be part of Team MPE. Same with you, Westman 78. And yeah, Dr. Don, of course we know that dogs aren't humans. I guess what I was getting at is that genetics and rearing animals and giving birth, helping animals give birth, and that whole process, you see the similarities between animals and humans in genetics, and it's there. It is real. It's definitely real. And the demeanors in the parents with humans are very similar to what you'll see with animals. And it's uncanny to me, being someone who's raised animals and bred animals. But I agree with you. They don't possess the Spirit of the Lord like Scripture. But as far as genetics and personality similarities, absolutely, and as well as genetic structure itself. Like, for example, if I have a large German Rottie male, I know that the firstborn is usually going to be the biggest, and he's usually going to be the most aggressive. And I see that with athletes, with male athletes. Their firstborn son is usually going to be the most aggressive. He's usually going to be the tallest out of them. And that's confirmed by science too. It's not just me like saying it. But I do agree with you that yes, animals do operate out of instinct. I'm with you, Dr. Donna. No argument there. But humans also will operate out of instinct if they don't have a good mom and dad. That's something a lot of people don't want to recognize, is that if you have a child and you don't give it a proper mom and dad, that child is going to end up acting like an animal a lot of times. And that's why I'm a big proponent of homeschooling and making sure for you men that you marry the right woman and that you look after her so she won't want to leave you, right? Because we know that 80 to 90% of the divorces are because the woman leaves the man. So you need to make sure that you choose the proper mate properly. And that's all super, super important. But yeah, no one's blocking you on my end, brother. We love you, Jerome, and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too, Dr. Donna. Definitely not intending any disrespect to our Creator or putting us in dominion over all the animals of the earth. Absolutely. And like James Forbes says, it is all in how they're trained. And rearing children also, to a large degree, if you don't have a good mom and dad who teach them right from wrong, the children are going to parrot their parent or whatever gang they end up joining because they're not getting any attention at home. Hopefully I didn't fluster anybody's feathers or ruffle anybody's feathers, but let's go ahead and keep on watching 10th Amendment Center.
Authority, external or internal, to regulate anything. He said the true ground on which we declare these acts void is that the British Parliament has no right to exercise authority over us, period, at all. I covered this in much more detail in an episode, one of my favorite ones recently, Null and Void, Thomas Jefferson's 1774 Radical Declaration. We've got a long project that we're working on here, Mike Meharry and I, because we look at 1774 as the ultimate year of strategy for the old revolutionaries. So there's so much to cover on that, but this is one important piece. The summary view of the rights of British America, that was Jefferson's declaration that was printed and shared all over the place. Very, very influential. That'll be linked to in the show notes. Make sure you check that one out as well. Now, here's Joseph Hawley again. This is known today as the Broken Hints Letter. Basically, some suggestions that he sent to John Adams, again, in August of 1774. We don't know the exact date, but here's how he put it. We must fight. If we can't rid ourselves of British taxation, all revenues, and the constitution or form of government enacted for us by the British Parliament. It is evil against right, utterly intolerable to every man who has any idea or feeling of right or liberty. Now, I'm not sure what kind of changed his tune to be even more aggressive. I can only assume that Hawley was being further informed of what the British were doing in Parliament, and as news came of more and more intolerable acts, utterly intolerable, shutting down the legislature, the Boston Port Act, of course, the Quartering Act, etc. It is evil against right. So we must fight, is how he started it. And that's what he's sending to John Adams, because John Adams is the one who's going to the Continental Congress. Hawley couldn't go because of it was a smallpox thing going on, and he had not been inoculated, so they thought he wasn't safe to be there for health reasons. But anyways, he said, it is now or never that we must assert our liberty. 20 years will make the number of Tories on this continent equal to the number of Whigs. Tories being the British, Whigs being the Patriots. 20 years. In 20 years' time, if we don't take action now, we are going to be overwhelmed and outnumbered. He said, they who shall be born will not have any idea of a free government. And maybe that's an oxymoron, but that's a different story. John Adams kind of recalled getting this in a letter to William Wirt, who wrote this great book on Patrick Henry that was very famous in the early part of the 19th century. Here's John Adams discussing this. He said, the letter I read to Mr. Henry. So he went to the First Continental Congress, and this was actually at the end of the First Continental Congress. But John Adams read it to Mr. Henry. He said, who listened to it with great attention. And as soon as I had pronounced the words, after all, we must fight, he erected his head and with an energy and vehemence that I can never forget, broke out with, by God, I am of that man's mind. I put the letter into his hand, wrote Adams, and when he had read it, he returned to me with an equally solemn asseveration that he agreed entirely in the opinion with the writer. So Patrick Henry was pumped at this point. This is sometime in later October 1774, and he's like, yes, we are going to have to come to arms against the British. Now, I'm mentioning a bunch of source documents here, other articles and episodes and things like that. If you're wondering, hey, Bolden, where can I find that letter from John Adams to William Wirt? Or where can I find Joseph Hawley's Broken Hints, etc.? Those will all be included in a blog post for this episode in the show notes section. We publish one for every single episode. We've been doing this for a number of years now. Alan Mosley organizes the blog post, and for each episode, if you scroll down at 10thamendmentcenter.com/path to liberty, you can see just an overview of the episode. Then you have an audio player, a video player, and then you have a show link section, so you can say, okay, that I want to check that out. I want to read it in context and learn more on my own time. I want to check out that episode.
Definitely check out 10th Amendment Center. This Mike is awesome, and I get a lot of inspiration from him and Brett Pike. I'm gonna drop this link to this video as well in the sidebar for you guys. And hold on a second here. So hopefully you guys can see it. I don't know if you're able to click on it, but if you can copy and paste it, just make sure go to 10th Amendment Center and like and subscribe and let him know that Mike Ehline sent you, so he knows that I'm trying to help build his channel for him. I think that he is just really, really amazing, a true historian, a non-revisionist historian. What you're getting in the public school system and the college campuses is a historical revisionist Marxist worldview, not the true history of our founding fathers. They try to put it through the lens of modern philosophy instead of looking at our founders through the lens of the time that they existed. It's like somebody trying to judge your parents by the standards, the weak standards that they have of today, and saying that they're bad and evil. And that's the problem that I have with modern education in general, is they fail to understand that those were not the times of their day. The reason why we're so soft today is because our standards have been lowered and lowered and lowered and lowered to the point now where we have a wide open southern border where we're letting millions of people in, military-aged males, many of whom are coming here to cause us harm. And if we had a strong leadership, that would have never happened. So got to think about that. Laws get passed when the people, our politicians invited into our country, cause us harm. And those laws take away our freedoms. So that's the problem I have with that. So because I have other stuff that I need to do, I wanted to share a couple of my Copwatch videos that I found, my picks of the day that were sent to me by so Daniel sent me this one. He said, please do a attorney reaction video of this. And this is about a cop getting physical with his own out of control partner. So let's check it out, guys. Let's have some fun too for Christmas and try to figure out what the heck is going on.
There is an issue with you taking video and so forth of a financial institution.
Of a financial institution?
Absolutely.
From a public sidewalk?
I will go and call the authorities to come over here. And
you can call anybody you like, man. That's up to you.
Absolutely.
All righty.
They mentioned you guys were on the property earlier.
That's a lie.
The request.
No.
Again, I'm just.
No. Don't ruin it with any unlawful direction.
Just let me finish.
Unnecessary direction. I don't need any directives. Okay. No, I really don't want to hear it.
They have the right to refuse service to anybody, so you
Well, they don't have the right to lie to police officers and tell them that I'm
So let's get past all this music.
Out with Amagansett Press. And today we're in Yuma, Arizona at the Navy Federal Credit Union. And we're going to take some video here out on the public sidewalk and see if the folks here respect our First Amendment right to do so. It's our first time down here in Yuma. Pretty cool little spot. I like the desert. I don't know if I've mentioned that in videos before, but desert's pretty cool. So right down by the California border as well as the Mexico border. in the southwest corner of Arizona. So, I don't know if you guys can see, I'll try to zoom in here, but the ATM and the front door are right there under the sign. So like I said, this should be interesting to see what happens. Never been to Yuma before, and this is our first time doing a video at a federal credit union, so stand by.
So a lot of you guys know that I cover the cop watching community and the First Amendment auditors, because obviously I understand that the whole goal behind the First Amendment was really government accountability. Our founding fathers wanted to make sure that we could get in the face of the king of the state and make sure to let them know who the boss was. And so this guy, he's filming outside of a credit union and public property, and he's doing what he thinks, you know, he has the right to do, because he's trying to test the government to find out if they're going to try and infringe upon his rights. And let's see what ends up happening. I mean, love him or hate him, he has a right to be doing what he's doing. And I'll defend anybody who's going to stand up to the administrative state and try to protect their family and their kids from overarching and overreaching government. So I love these cop watch videos, because these are the quintessential patriots of the modern era.
It's quite obvious.
I know.
How are you today?
For what reason?
I have no idea who you are.
I work here.
I can't hear you.
I said I'm the manager here. I work here, and
Okay.
if you're going to be filming stuff of our financial institution, I need to be aware of it. And for what reason?
You need to be aware of what I'm doing.
Well, yeah.
I'm out on public property, man, just minding my own business.
Well, this is private property.
I'm not on your property. I'm on a public
Okay,
sidewalk.
but why can you not tell me why you are videoing our members and our building?
I'm just doing as I do, man.
Just doing as you're doing.
That's it.
Okay.
Is there any issue with me being out here taking video?
There is an issue with you taking video and so forth of a financial institution.
Of a financial institution?
Absolutely.
From a public sidewalk?
You know, I have every right to come out and ask you.
Oh, you certainly
why
do.
You're doing this.
Absolutely. Sure you do.
And I'm not understanding why you're being so combative about it.
Oh, I'm not trying to be combative with you. I just, as you have a right to come out and ask, I have a right not to explain what I'm doing.
Okay. Alrighty, so then I will go and call the authorities to come over here. And
You can call anybody you like, man. That's up to you.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. Have a good day.
Hope you guys could hear that. I think my mic's pretty good, but there's a lot of road noise. I could barely hear what she was saying, a couple of things. First time she came up to me, I was actually paying attention to something on my camera, and it took me a second to even realize she was talking to me, and by the time I realized she was walking over to AP. But yeah, so this woman says she's the manager of Navy Federal Credit Union. She says there's an issue with taking video of a financial institution from the public sidewalk, and she's going to go call the authorities to handle that, whatever that means. So very interesting. Here's a City of Yuma fire truck. So it seems like we got some support here in Yuma, or at least some people who know what we're doing. I think that's the third vehicle to drive by and honk at us. So So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. She said she was calling the authorities, which I would assume means the police. And like I said, we've never been down here in Yuma before, so it'll be interesting to see how the police handle the situation. Hopefully.
By the way, is anybody aware of Arizona law? Is there a, maybe Lane Myers can come and join me. Is there a law against recording from a public sidewalk at a private business, pointing towards a private business? And if someone had a concealed or hidden camera, do you think that the police would have been called? I'd like to know what you guys think.
They know what they're talking about, and they know that we're not doing anything wrong by taking video on a public sidewalk, but you never know. And here's a little glance at the neighborhood. Didn't really look around much.
Sign pro over here. Tire shop on the other corner.
Forgot to mention, today is Wednesday, February 16th, 2022. It's 2:39 p.m. and it's 66 degrees and sunny here in Yuma. It's very nice out.
Yeah, looks good. We could have been gone already.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we could have come here, been here for 10 or 15 minutes, nothing going on, and left. But now, the watchman and I have a very steadfast rule that if we believe law enforcement's on the way to speak to us, we won't leave. We don't want law enforcement looking for us. We're not hiding from anybody. And once law enforcement has been called.
Yeah, and, and that's a valid point. I got to tell you, because I've done a lot of criminal defense work. If you leave after the police have been called, they can put an APB, like a BOLO, out for you, and you're in real trouble, man. Because once there's a boat, be on the lookout. They may come with the sirens on and the guns out. So I know that a lot of you are thinking, oh, they're just being jerks by staying because they're being creeps because they want us. No, they're actually being very intelligent. Once the cops have been called, it's a really bad idea to leave the location. If you think the cops are coming, now they're going to be looking for you. So keep that in mind, guys. I mean, this cop watching thing is no joke. If you're going to go out there and engage in government accountability operations, you need to think like a chess player, because these guys could end up getting ventilated if they make the wrong move from this point forward. Let's keep going.
We're going to stand here and wait for him to show up and have the conversation. So I'm kind of forced my hand to stay here now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not saying that I wouldn't have anyway, just making a point. It's always like some kind of scare tactic. Well, if you're not going to explain yourself to me, I'm going to have to go call law enforcement. Okay. We have 2 cars.
Good seeing you. Merry Christmas.
One just continued down the street. One's.
How you guys doing today?
Good. How are you, sir?
What's going on?
Enjoying the beautiful day. How are you?
Enjoying the beautiful day?
Yes, sir.
It is a beautiful day.
It really is.
Just hanging out?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Can I just ask name and badge number so I know who I'm speaking with?
Officer Reyes, badge number 201.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
You guys just hanging out?
Yeah, just taking some video. And we probably would have been gone by now, except the manager came out, wanted to know what I was doing. I just didn't feel like explaining myself.
Yeah.
And she said she was going to call law enforcement, so we never leave. I know you guys are on the...
So Inalienable Rights just jumped in. By the way, good to see you, Inalienable Rights. And Merry Christmas, by the way. Hopefully you've got family. I started today around 9:30 because several of my members told me that they had lost family members and loved ones, and they were asking me if I was going to come on. And so I came on, and I just have been sticking around to try to just keep people company. But Inalienable Rights says you can film anything from public. It's called the plain view doctrine, and that's what they teach you in law schools. That is true. So let's see how this unfolds. Let's see how this officer handles it. And Jody Shiloh, thank you for coming again. Man, you are so awesome, Jody. God bless you from Ironton, Ohio. And Gloria Ad says, it's not against the law to record on a sidewalk. Sorry, I was fixing a plate of food. Gosh, Gloria, I wish somebody was fixing me a plate of food. And hey, you too. Inalienable Rights says everybody have a wonderful day. Yeah, every day. Right on, brother. What's the matter? You says the plain view doctrine is a blatant violation of the 4A for cops, not for the people. Right.
So plain view is okay. So from a cop's perspective, what's the matter you was talking about? If a cop walks up to your home and sees something through the window that he deems or she deems to be illegal, since it's within plain view, the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply. And what's the matter you disagrees with that. And I believe that case was also wrongly decided, but as a lawyer, I have to be more nuanced. I can't insult the judges, right? But and Chevy, thanks again for joining me today, buddy. Chevy has been around for a long time, and Chevy supports the First Amendment community more than anybody that I know, and also makes some really great digital music. And yeah, right. AME Animal Rescue says the same thing cops use against us, we can use to film. Right. And then what's the matter? You says no. They need a warrant. They need to be specific. And look, I agree with you, Wassa. I'm a strict Bill of Rights natural law guy. And Dr. Donna Walter says to everyone I did not get a welcome out to. Howdy, right on. Oh, here, I'll put it up there for you. Dr. Donna Walter, super, super awesome lady. My kind of people. Salty Buckeye says the Constitution is to protect us from the government, not the people. Right, that's right. The Constitution is supposed to bind the government with the chains of the Constitution. That's right. And Gloria says she'd send me some food, but it probably would be old before it got there. That's fine. Let's keep going with the video.
I'm going to stand here and wait for it.
No. Like I said, you're not doing anything illegal. You're on a public sidewalk. You're perfectly fine.
Yes, sir.
So, if I mind, do you mind if I ask you your name?
I'll give you my first name. It's Jason.
Jason?
Yes, sir.
And your name?
Ben.
Ben? Okay. All right. Well, you guys aren't doing no criminal activity. You guys are fine.
Not at all.
Okay.
No, I appreciate that. And
All
I
right.
appreciate you being professional and
All right.
courteous and knowing that.
Thank you, sir. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You
Thank
have
you.
a wonderful day. And you know what, sir? Can I just ask you one question
Yes,
before
sir.
you take off?
Yes, sir.
I just always, do you know what we're doing?
Recording public view.
Okay. But you know my purpose of being here? I'd be happy to tell you.
What is your purpose?
So we do First Amendment audits.
Okay.
Okay. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we try to be productive, educational. We're not out here trying to instigate anybody, causing any problems. And I love it, and I very much appreciate it when law enforcement shows up. You've obviously been properly trained and educated. You're obviously a very courteous, calm individual.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate that from you, and I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Just to ask you, the only quick question I have for you is you are coming across as one of the good officers out there today.
Okay.
Because as in anything in life, there's good and bad.
I appreciate
right?
that.
So, as a good police officer, what do you think a good police officer's worst enemy is?
We have no worst enemy. We just serve the public. That's all I can tell you.
Okay. I would just suggest to you what I think your worst enemy is a bad cop.
Okay.
Which I don't see here today.
Okay.
So we just ask you to keep your guys, because police are in a unique situation where you police yourselves internally. And we just ask you to, the guys that are out there giving people a hard time and acting out of the color of law and acting outside of the Constitution are not doing you any favors as a good police officer. They could get you in trouble one day. Get your, good police officers getting hurt all over the country.
At the end of the day, I'm here to serve the public and help people. That's all I'm here for.
That's it. Well, you've done that here today, and I really appreciate it. And
you guys have
sir, can I just ask your name and badge number? So I know
Officer Cannell, employee number 3433.
3433.
Yep, real quick, I just got a real quick spiel. I guess they had mentioned you guys were on the property earlier.
That's a lie.
The request.
No.
Again,
No. Don't ruin it with any unlawful directions.
Just let me finish.
Unnecessary directives.
Just
I don't
let me
need any
finish.
directives. No, I really don't want to hear
I
it.
gave you the ability to talk.
Let her hear him out.
Okay. He allowed you to talk. I'm just going to say this. Unless you have any business to be done on the bank, don't go back on the property.
Well,
That's all
I'm
they're
going to
asking.
suggest to you that they just filed a false police report with you and lied to you that we were on the property. Tell them to prove it. I've been recording since before I got here.
They have the right to refuse service to anybody, so you
Well, they don't have the right to lie to police officers and tell them that I'm here on their property when I'm not.
I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
That's all we're doing.
And can I just get
The right to refuse service to anybody? What the hell is this guy talking about? I mean, total egomaniac, dickhead. Let's keep going.
your name and badge number?
You already got it.
Have a good day.
You have a good day too, buddy. And I appreciate you keeping the big guy in mind. That's exactly what I was talking about. Keep it constitutional, baby. No, you got it. Professionalism, service with a smile, courtesy, very important. You can learn a lot from your hard work. He's a smart guy. Yep. Just remember, man, you guys need a little good PR these days. A lot of people aren't liking the cops, and we're trying to help you, so don't turn away the help. You need it.
Sounds good. You have yourself a better
Call
day, all
number
right?
7226. I'm having a fantastic day. You have a better day and treat people right. Honor your oath, buddy. We're watching you. Keep up the good work, boss. I appreciate you. Thank you. And that's vehicle number 7603. This guy needs a little help. And that's a good tale of two cities there for you.
So this is the first time I've ever, this is called Watching the Watchers. It's the first time I've ever done one of their videos. Let's see how it plays out.
You know, you had one police officer, you know, he wasn't really interested in hearing what I had to say. And he doesn't have to listen to what I have to say. But he showed up, he did the right thing, he did his job properly. He defended my right as an American citizen, he upheld the law, and he educated the woman inside the bank. And that was the point of our visit here today. So I found that to be very...
Hey guys, so the one officer, who was the smaller cop, who was acting more professional, I think did a great job. You know, he might not agree with what we're doing or whatever, or be that interested in hearing what we have to say, but he was professional and knew our rights and didn't give us a hard time. The bigger cop was a different type of cop and trying to give directives and unnecessary things and telling us not to go back on the property, quote unquote, which we have never been on their property. So, yeah. No need to make false accusations and give unnecessary orders to the public. And seemed like we got a little good cop, bad cop today. So you guys can let me know what you think in the comments. So this seems like it's it for this video, but you never know. Somebody might decide to say something while I'm doing the outro here. But
I thought that was pretty good. I've heard some people in the sidebar saying these guys are like, they don't like him that much, but that video, no problem there. So let's check out this next video. It's called Cop is Caught Red-Handed with the Green. And this is from Mark. He's another one of my viewers. So I've been getting a ton of people sending me requests. Hey, can you review this one? So let's check it out. It's only 5 minutes.
What
you have your life? Just give me a moment, all right?
turned into an arrest over an outstanding federal warrant for a weapons violation.
We have a warrant out for your arrest. A warrant for what?
I'm going to show it to you in a moment, okay?
But when Charlotte Mecklenburg cops cuff 29-year-old Moncrief Moon and are about to take him in, the color green catches the arresting officer's eye. A large stack of cash, $100 bills in Moncrief's left jacket pocket. The money is placed on the trunk of the car. Immediately, Moncrief becomes focused on the cash, saying it's for his girlfriend to pay bills.
What is my money on the What?
The officer tosses the stack of bills on the passenger seat of the police car and tosses Moncrief in the back. But when they make it to...
So I've done a bunch of videos on civil asset forfeiture, which is where the government, where the police will steal your money and then turn it over to the feds. And the feds will seize it and claim that it's being used for drugs or whatever. It's drug proceeds. And then they'll send the police department back part of the proceeds. Then the police will use that to give themselves pay raises or, build a plaque to themselves or whatever. And of course, there's a lot of other cases where the cops will just steal these people's money. So let's figure out if this is a civil asset forfeiture or what do you guys think? You think he's going to try to steal his money? Let's check it out.
To the police station.
All right, I'm going to count your money in front of you, okay?
Moncrief grows suspicious of Officer Henry Chapman.
I heard the early 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Now Moncrief turns the tables, asking the female officer counting the money to search Officer Chapman.
Can you look in between his legs real quick? I think he just put some more money in between his legs.
How much money did you have on you? I'm asking.
I haven't touched it. Can you just check in between his legs?
Sir, listen to me.
He's moving and everything. Look, he's moving. Sir, I heard the rubber band pop. He told me, I had to. Look, and he's moving. He's moving in between his legs.
Moncrief is convinced Officer Chapman has stashed some of his cash, and as other officers arrive,
look at his hand. He's tucking money. He's tucking money right in his right hand.
He demands that Officer Chapman be searched.
Look at me. If someone takes your money, it will be a big problem, all right? No one's going to take your money I can see his hands. Are you saying that there's more money in here?
What I'm saying is he just touched mine. I seen him put it in between his legs. I heard my rubber band. I've been nothing but cooperative with you guys.
Officer Chapman gets out of the patrol car and tries to prove he didn't take any of Moncrief's money.
I'm going to show you right here. Look at me.
But as another officer opens Chapman's driver's side door, it's like an ATM machine.
Do you see anything?
No, yeah. I'm not even going to touch it. It's blue hundreds right here. It's all the blue hundreds are right there behind that receipt. Thank you. All that's my money. You didn't have that.
This is your money?
Yes, I heard him crumble it up. Thank you. Thank you. All that's been recorded, right? That's my money.
$900 is tucked inside the driver's side door, but Officer Chapman denies he had anything to do with how it got there.
Sir, you've been watching me that whole time.
I seen you take it. I seen you crumble
Sir,
it.
that is not me.
If I'm right, it's going to be around $1,000.
Moncrief will not let him off the hook.
Man.
Mr. Chapman went in my money. He separated my money. He was trying to steal it, and I caught him.
Officer Chapman is taken to a room in the station, and his gun is removed. Then the cop's so adamant that he had nothing to do with stealing Moon's money, changed his tune.
Just goes to show cops are criminals too, guys. When we grew up, we watched 1 Adam 12, we watched Chips, and we were taught that police are just the best. And now we see guys like Officer Kruger, Freddy Krueger down in Texas, who almost killed Carolina and Fort Worth. When guys like this do stuff, they just get recycled to another police department. There's no accountability, and that's because of the police unions. Give me a bunch of ones if you think that all government employee unions should be abolished, because all it does is empower people who are lower standard people to be able to keep their jobs. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree.
I'm sorry.
In a separate room, a supervisor had this to say to Moncrief.
Right is right, wrong is wrong. Listen, all right? CMPD takes this seriously. Listen. Now, I wish I could say that another way because I feel like cursing right now, right?
He removes Moncrief's cuffs.
Did you need any water or anything?
And now it's Officer Chapman who's shackled in an interrogation room. After an internal investigation, Officer Henry Chapman is arrested and charged with embezzlement. He resigned from the police force the next day. Officer Chapman took an Alford plea.
So I'm a little confused because embezzlement would imply that he stole money from his employer, right? So that's theft. So what that's telling me is that that money was seized, like a civil asset forfeiture claim, and then the officer embezzled it from his department. What do you guys think? I want to know what you guys think. I don't see how that could be embezzlement if it's theft. If you're stealing money or property from another person, it's not embezzlement, right? I mean, do you guys disagree or do you agree with me? Now, let's learn about what an Alford plea is. I already know what it is, but let's hear what she's got to say.
Which means he gets to maintain his innocence while accepting the judge's punishment. He'll now serve a minimum of 2 years probation and complete a cognitive behavioral intervention course. Joining me now is Luis Bolaños, a former homicide investigator. Luis, you have investigated a lot of police misconduct. How common is what we just saw?
Yes, ma'am, that's true. Unfortunately, it is very common. But this case has a little twist to it because I love to see this. The officers who were challenged with this allegation acted so quickly. They did the right thing. When they heard that allegation, they stepped right in because only two things are going to happen. Either they confirm it happened or deny it happened. Both are great outcomes. Get to the truth. And that's what happened here.
I think it's important that the police officers on the scene took Moncrief's allegations and complaints seriously.
Not only did they take it seriously, but they decided to act immediately. I really feel for the officers that had to arrest their own that day. Very seldom does that happen that quick and with the officers right there on the spot. Usually it goes up the chain, takes forever to get that to happen. So it was very emotional for them, but I think that helps bring incredible transparency to this investigation.
Luis Bolaños, thank you so much.
Yeah, what's the matter? You pointed something out. You know, they didn't just jump right in. They had to be forced by the victim to get involved. He had to put a lot of heat on those guys to get them to do anything. So it's amazing how look, you know, a criminal's a criminal, right, guys? Right? I mean, a criminal's a criminal. They were standing up for this guy, but it was so clear and so obvious that this guy had his money stolen. Those other officers really had no choice but to step in because he was making a stink. Now, if he was some weakling, like one of these weak modern men who's got like low testosterone, he would have just taken it. But this was a strong man. He was trying to bring money, I guess, to his girl so she could pay her rent. And as a result, he was going, no way, man, that's uncool. This guy stole my money. I heard the rubber band snap. And so those cops were forced to get involved because it was all caught on body cam. It was going to come out. It was going to come out. Anyways, let's get into the next video. This is I'm going to throw a little bit of comedy at you here. Try to make you guys laugh for Christmas.
Can't do this here.
Great
stuff and be gone.
Get out of here. I don't know, guys. I think that that's a fake cop because a real cop would have tried to arrest him for something, right? What do you guys think? I'm not buying it for a second. I'm having a hard time with it. But I think I'm having a harder time with this one. What do you guys think?
The Norfolk Police Division responded to a call of a man driving eastbound on 275 with a Watusi bowl in his passenger seat.
The officers received a call reference a car driving into town that had a cow in it. They thought that it was going to be, like a calf, something smaller, something that actually fit inside the vehicle.
And the vehicle was big enough. Well, technically.
As a result, the officer performed a traffic stop and addressed some traffic violations that were occurring with that particular situation.
The occupant of the vehicle was identified as Lee Meyer of Neely. The Watusi bull's name was Howdy Doody. He was immediately pulled over by Norfolk police and they performed a routine traffic stop.
The officer wrote him some warnings. There were some citable issues with that situation. The officer chose to write him a warning and ask him to take the animal back home and to leave the city.
Meyer and Howdy Doody are on their way back home and no one was hurt.
Thanks for watching.
Stay updated about
Howdy Doody. Oh my gosh. So guys, I got one more. This is a video that we did part of in one of my prior episodes. So we're just going to pick up where we left off last time.
He's a happy camper now. He's good.
All right, so here's the deal with trespass warnings.
Yep.
For a period of 1 year, you're not allowed to return. If you do, you'll be subject to arrest.
I came back on with this mask.
Your body comes back, and his body comes back on this property. You go to jail.
But if I had a mask on?
You still go to jail.
All right. Just making sure.
You can have a condom on your head. You still go to jail. All right,
have a good one. Thank you so much. Thank you. Jeffrey, I love you, regardless. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, bro. It's so funny because whenever cops pull up, it's just fun to mess with them. But dude, that guy, he knows all my tricks. I don't know if you guys remember, but I did a selling fake cocaine prank on the cops, and he's literally the cop that pulled up. He was so chill though. He was so nice. But the fact he watches the videos though, that's just wild to me. That's wild. How you doing, man?
Wow, how about yourself?
Good. Yo, I just did a fake stealing prank.
Ah, I thought you were doing.
Yeah. Yo, if I give you $50, can you put this mask on?
Really?
Yeah, I promise.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
No science, good research.
No, I'm playing. How does it feel?
Oh, not bad.
Feels like you can steal a TV, huh?
No, I don't think so. Not with this.
Well, you're actually wrong, because it is your lucky day. Woo! Yo, this is like a Mr. Beast channel.
I know, I feel like it is. My kids will love it, bro.
But I do need the mask, though.
Yeah, until.
Yeah, okay. Just for you to be able to put it on, to truly experience what I just did.
For real?
Yeah, that's for you, my man. Yeah.
Happy Easter, man.
Take care of yourself.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Wait, what is this?
That's yours.
Oh, I get a TV too?
Yeah, get pranked.
You gotta be kidding me, right? And what channel is it?
Have you ever heard of Mr. Beast?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
kids
me.
watch it all the time.
That's me.
No, it's not.
Okay, it's not. It's Fred Meyer.
Fred Meyer?
Yeah.
Counting that money, I'm faster than sound. Screen pan the sun in my name like the sun.
Can you put that in here for me? I would do it, but I fisted my wife.
Oh, I don't know, man. Maybe the come on chicken.
No, I'm buying it.
Oh, you're buying it?
Yeah.
Okay, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, have you seen this gentleman right here? Tall male.
I see right now.
We've been looking for him all day. He's been stealing all day.
Right there.
Where's he at?
Right there.
Sir!
What seems to be the issue?
So we've got you on the camera stealing.
This was on him. I put it on my ex.
So who put that in?
I
there?
put that one.
See, he stole.
No, no, I
You
don't.
put it in.
You don't steal it.
Can you just empty your pockets?
I never.
Look,
Okay. Can you guys both take your shoes off right now?
if you listen to what he says, I think we'll be fine, okay? Your socks, too.
My socks?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, a little bit of sickly. What is that?
Sir, you have to lift your shirt up, too. And then we can go. Yeah, just take. I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, just take it off.
Look. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's just, I know protocol.
Okay. All right. Guys, put your stuff back on.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you guys an opportunity here to walk away free.
What do we have to do?
You guys got to kiss.
Kiss?
Yeah.
Dude, I'll do it if you do it.
Okay. And the man, right? The same.
Okay.
Can I do it to you?
Sure.
Bro! So, like, I know what it looks like. I know. I hit the other Walmarts. I still have one more prank to do. I can't hear you. Huh? All right, I'm gonna do one more. I know you know what comes next. Oh.
Take this. You guys can leave. I'll just call the cops.
Fuck me! I'm gonna keep screaming and you're gonna let go. I did this earlier and it worked. Oh. You don't want another one? No, hey, I'm gonna leave for you. I'm out. I'm fucking with you, bro. Alright. Who are you?
No, don't film me.
I'm gonna show you to the world.
You need to leave.
And then after this, I'm gonna show Quinn my titties.
You need to leave. I have some rowdy, disgusting customers.
Disgusting? Who are you calling disgusting? I'm clean. I showered this morning.
Now they are in a
What the hell's going on right now? Dude, this guy's filming me.
I don't know. I just.
Nah, I'm pranking you. He's with me. He's with me. I wish I had like backup. I don't know like who I can call. What? Ashok? Bro, where? Bro, where have you been? All right, guys, I'm gonna leave though. Okay, for real. I'm gonna leave.
Life Under says they should be set on fire.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Your mic on.
That is
All right,
probably
I know
true.
what it looks like. It's not what you think.
All right, listen, I don't really care. You guys are being trespassed from me, all right? You can't come back to this Walmart again.
Dude, please.
You know you're not allowed to film.
Okay, but like, says who?
It's a policy. You can't film inside a
If I
Walmart.
put a mask on, like, then I won't get trespassed?
No. I need all your guys' IDs.
I don't know who's talking to me right now.
I need all your IDs. You guys gonna give me your IDs?
I'm not gonna lie, officer, like, I gotta prove a point now.
All right, give me that.
Oh, dude. That's my
Do me a favor, step out of the car.
That's what makes me feel good about myself.
Step out of the car.
Yes, sir.
I need to see all your IDs, all right?
So, like, what crime did we commit?
Trespassing. You're being issued a trespass.
But going in here and filming is not
No.
trespassing.
You're an unwanted customer. Still on their property. They want you.
Not how it works. Not how it works, guys. They have to first. They have to be cited for trespassing. You can't just start IDing them and try to put them under a custodial arrest. Sorry, not how it works.
Trespass.
I'm on the property because look, you cut us off like it's GTA 6. Look at the pre-order trailer.
All right, man. You're on their property. They don't want you here anymore. I need to see all of your IDs. The kid that's still filming me, I need your ID.
Thank you, sir. Oh. So other than that, you guys having a good day at least? Or? Sir, do you have an ID? Do you have a picture of your ID, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, I need that picture, sir. All right, now, let's go.
So how could I get trespassed?
Is the store 122, sir? Bro, dude, have you ever heard of bad cops? This is what we're dealing with.
Absolutely.
Give them your ID. Oh.
I fuck with the other
No, I
guys.
never
No,
did.
it's not YouTube, it's Paramount. I will say though, I ran the cops earlier. They were way nicer than you.
So, it's really interesting, Life Under. I never hung out with Rodney and his wife, and I never watched the shows. They would put me up at the MGM, and but I was always super. So I used to be. People joining me. I used to be Rodney Dangerfield's limo driver, or was one of his many limo drivers. He hated going to the airport. So I would drive him from LA to the MGM where he would do a show. And I think he made like 500 grand each show. He made real money to go to these things. And I would just leave the guy alone. I didn't ask him. I never asked him for an autograph, never asked him for a photograph. I was just real cool about it because I knew who he was and I didn't want to come off like some kind of a fanboy. I was just super grateful that I had a living legend in the back of my car. But no, I never did, brother. But Rodney, to me, is he was the man. I think he was the funniest guy who's ever walked the earth. That's how I felt about him and how I do feel about him.
You guys. Cool. The last time I ran into one of you guys, this happened.
You went to jail?
Yeah.
Must be nice.
It was, I mean, I made some friends on there.
I'm sure.
Shout out Official Vic Maine. I listen to your SoundCloud still.
So if I'm a store owner, I could just trespass anyone?
If you own a store, yes, sir.
Like, if you committed a crime, then they could. But, like, realistically, like, we could walk away right now. But the fact that they're tripping, it's just better just to comply. Actually, I'm not trespassed yet. I'm about to be trespassed. And we were about to leave, but, I mean, you pull up, like, some GTA 5 shit. What is this, 1, 2, 3, 4 cop cars?
You have phone number?
It's kind of personal.
Oh, that's all right.
You know what I'm saying? So how's it feel? The one time you rode with me, this fucking happened.
Just have to go bring him the shit.
So like, which one do you think single?
Probably the bald dude.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about him. At heart, I feel like he's actually a good person.
I like him and I don't like him, but the other guy I don't like.
Well, I mean, no, he didn't say a word though. Look at him.
No, he's chill. He's chill.
No, he's fine.
He's chill.
You're fine.
The beard on that guy is great, bro. Full beard, full grown ass man.
No,
bro.
dude, the real issue, bro. Look behind them. Look at her.
Ellen DeGeneres. This guy's.
Ellen DeGeneres.
No. He's it's just nothing.
Now he's overthinking. We weren't actually talking about it.
Oh hell yeah.
Paramount. Okay, honestly, dude. Okay, I'm on YouTube, bro. I will say though, why'd you guys pull up so hot?
What do you mean so hot?
Like there's 4 of you guys.
What's going on right now? So.
Oh, so you guys are just bored?
Yeah, honestly, I was.
How'd you know it was like our car? Because like we're about to leave and you pulled up, you stopped, and I was like, shit, he got us.
Could have backed up.
So we could have left. Motherfucker, dude! I knew it. I told you from the start. I told you from the start. Did I not tell you from the start? So Amber, do you feel satisfied, or do you want to see us leave in cuffs? Because I think it's up to you.
I'd let her handcuff me.
She just like made me horny. Is she lesbian?
Don't ask the personal questions to her.
I told her, I was like, you can get my phone number. She just walked away.
Yeah. Well, the phone is already in the system, so if you've been arrested before, it's there.
Oh, well, it's there.
Congrats. You were labeled with dirty Crocs, so that's how we found you also.
Wait, that was my description?
Yeah.
Really? So she said pink shorts, dirty Crocs. Yeah. Fucking A, dude. No taking these shits off.
Or just don't wear dirty Crocs.
Should I clean them?
I don't know.
What do you think?
Just pour some bleach on him.
Your voice is so beautiful.
All right, guys, listen up. All right. So he's gonna tell you guys something. You guys are gonna be trespassed. All right.
I cannot come back here ever again. If you do, you'll be arrested on site.
That is the most I've heard you speak today. I'm sorry. I'm kidding. Well, I'm not, but I understand.
Oh man, I just can't help it, guys. And what's the matter? You's right. I mean, these guys are terrible. And yes, what's the matter? You says, I pray my son doesn't find these channels on YouTube. Police your children, or this could be them. Oh, it's so true, dude. Well, look, I'm sorry, Life Under. I don't think you're ever going to have that problem because you're a legit dad who homeschools your kids. You know what's going on. I just get a kick out of these videos sometimes because it shows you like how the cops, if you do unusual or out of the ordinary things, they'll just ignore the law and just do whatever, pull you out of your car, whatever, just crazy stuff. So guys, I hope that you're all having a good Christmas. I've been on for about 4 hours and I am burned out now, but I wanted to come on because I had several people reach out to me saying, hey, are you coming on live? And there's like a lot of my audience members, older, might have lost a loved one or whatever. So hopefully you guys had a good time. And so everybody just know that God loves you and Team MPE loves you and we're here for you if you need anything. And by the way, before I go, does anybody have any questions or comments or anything that they want to ask me before I call it a day for Christmas? I'm just looking here. As you guys know, I do personal injury law and catastrophic injuries. You're welcome, James. You're welcome, Diana, for the laughs. You're welcome, Dr. Donna Walter. Appreciate you guys spending some time with me. I knew it wasn't going to be like this huge, you're welcome, Life Under. I knew it wasn't going to be like a huge show today, but I figured I would have some fun, show you guys some of my gold bar or my silver bars. See, silver, really cool. And talk a little bit about precious metals. Talk a little bit about gold. Talk a little bit about gold today. You believe this thing's worth almost $3,000? It's ridiculous, right? And talk about the $2 bill story of the kid getting arrested. Kid getting arrested at school for trying to buy a school lunch with a $2 bill because these dumbasses at the cafeteria thought that a $2 bill was counterfeit money. And then we talked a little bit about how in Texas they're going to try to go to a gold standard with their currency where you can start paying for things with real gold. And this is an actual gold bill that's made with real gold. And this would be similar to what their currency is going to look like. I just really love precious metals and gold. And we even showed you some other precious metals. Well, these are precious metals to me. These are the precious metals that I use to protect my other precious metals. And, just having a good time. You see here, it was a big, big shoe, really, really big shoe. I might not have made it through Christmas alone without it. Oh, thanks. What's the matter, you? Yeah, there's real gold in the bills. That's right. So these actually have real gold in them, which is really cool. I mean, so what I'm trying to do is teach the younger people about the gold standard, about fiat currency, about Jekyll Island, about real money, which is, because right now we have fiat currency, but this is real money. So these are silver eagles. That's real money. Look at that. And that's what our money is. That's what our currency is supposed to be backed by. What we have right now is what's called fiat currency. It's not real money. It's not backed by anything except for the promises of a bunch of scumbag politicians, right? So hopefully we can change the system. It looks like the incoming president recognizes that the Federal Reserve banking system is a scam, and it looks like he's trying to sort of recreate a new money-backed currency, a new intrinsic money-backed currency, and sort of try to bypass the Federal Reserve. And if that happens, it could cause our country to go back to what our founding fathers wanted, which is a monetary, gold-backed, silver-backed currency, which is what we're supposed to have. So hopefully we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, we had a lot of fun today. I hope you guys have a really great Christmas. And yeah, Life Under says he's going to push a digital scam. I've heard that too. Gosh, it's just too bad we don't have people in government that are like a Ron Paul or Rand Paul who believe in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and want to make America what it's supposed to be, which is a constitutional republic that it no longer has a bunch of bankers and Epstein Island pedos running our government. But unfortunately, we're left with what we have, and we can create parallel systems where we help each other and we look after one another. We homeschool our kids, we homestead, we grow our own food, and we try to at least work within our own communities to look after one another. So that's my goal for all of you guys on this Christmas. And my New Year's resolution is to be less political on my show and just more about law and more about the Constitution. I hope you guys had a good time. Silver-backed currency, right? Let's OTVO. Wouldn't that be something? And I think you're joking about being a silverback too. I'm not sure. But it was really great having you guys on today. And I don't know what's the matter you. It would be nice to piss off those bankers, though, wouldn't it, Dr. Donna Walter? So, yeah, 13 states have, here we go. 13 states have passed or introduced some form of a gold bill that allows or encourages the use of gold and silver coins as legal tender or as an alternative form of payment within the state. That is really cool. So, see, the states could literally put us back on a gold standard and bypass this whole crooked bankster system that we have. Well, I'm with you, Dr. Donna, but I piss off all the Marxist Democrats who want to put boys in dresses and, little girls on male testosterone, and we don't want to lose them, right? Because they're such an amazing less than 0.25% of the population that Joe Biden wants to put in charge and make the Surgeon General of the United States. So clearly they must be important, right? So with that being said, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. Semper Fi, do or die. God bless you and Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas.